Hello, dear friends. I don't know if this is too loud. Let me just get the volume down just a little bit, just a wee bit. And this stream thing, I feel like I'm a noob at it because I haven't done it for quite a while. Let's just get the overlay up so you can see me. Hello. Grouse, we are live and I think everything's running smoothly, hopefully. Everything should be okay. Good vibes. Let me just double check if everything is all good to go. Yep. Should be good. Got a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. We are here for, amazingly enough, the 2022 Brownlow Medal, and it's come around incredibly fast, have to say. It's going to be a really good count, obviously. Ricky in the chat said Oliver, Neil 1, Brayshaw 2, Cripps 3. I think that is a pretty good call. I think that'd be a majority type call. For a lot of people, Neil's probably the number one. And I may have foreshadowed the result in the thumbnail. So who knows if Neil ends up on top. No Nets in heat here. Mate, I've always got to have the Brooklyn Nets cap on, so we're remaining impartial this evening. No Carlton hat today, or Carlton anything, to be honest. But I do know a lot of people are finding it a little bit difficult to suss out where to watch the game or the count, and you can watch it in a number of places. I found an article, it's very easy to find, that will actually get you everything you need with regards to how to watch the stuff. You can watch it on your PlayStation if you got one of those. You can watch it on 7 or 7 Mate and 7 Plus. 7 Plus if you're watching on the PS4 or the PS5. Android TV, Google TV, whatever the hell. You can watch it on the AFL Live official app, which is where I am watching it from this evening. Probably the best and most portable way to watch it, especially if you're not at home. But yeah, it should be a pretty good count overall. I'm hoping it really lives up to the hype. Obviously, last season we can actually revisit exactly what happened in the count last season. If we just go and go here and go here, and then we just do a little bit of scrolling, you can see last time out, Ollie Wines got up with 36 votes, and well, fair to say he didn't live up to the hype this season, but you can see there was a pretty good count, very high scoring count. Bont in second, Oliver third, and then Walsh and Parrish to round out the top five. And we can obviously look at a round by round thing as well. So you can see we've got two views here tonight. Last year it was a bit disorganized, I have to say. I didn't really plan it out properly. I was literally using a Photoshop document to change things as we went, and I didn't even have a stream. So good that the AFL has made things a little bit more available to the general public. I'm just going to sort out the feed. It's just got to align itself. If I can get rid of that, that'd be grouse, and it should perfectly align here. If I go round by round, there you go. There's the first lot of games. If I can just get it perfectly aligned. It's not going to do it, is it? Okay, that'll do. That should do it. I did get it a little bit better last time, but it doesn't look like it wants to this time. Hang on. Okay, yeah. We'll just leave it at that. That should do. You can see all the games there. That'll be round one for you. I may have sent out the wrong notification in terms of... What do you mean? I do think I may have an idea of what you're talking about. because for some reason the stream key is a bit cooked, I think. Let's have a look. Never a dull moment. Yeah, it says I'm live for both things, so you know what? I'm just going to delete that. And we can suss that out later. There we go. Alright, we're all good. Okay, so the count is going to commence shortly. And put your predictions in the chat. I would love to hear them. It's going to be, as I said, a very good count. You can see there's a little scroller telling us the odds. Neil, Oliver, then Cripps. And then you've got Brayshaw, Took Miller, Petrarca, Rory Laird, and Mills. Rory Laird and Mills could be two smoky selections. I don't think they're going to win, but especially Rory Laird. I mean, a couple seasons ago was a backman at heart and has pretty much reinvigorated his game to be a big-bodied midfielder or one of those really small pocket rocket type midfielders. And he had a really, really good season. He'll probably win the BNF if that hasn't happened yet for the Crows. But yeah, I mean, they have a really, really weird situation going on at the Crows. They're not really competing for anything. I have seen Watch Live Now Heat and Nets. Yeah, it's not that. It should have deleted. I have gotten rid of it. It's because the stream key. For some reason, the stream key was the same as another stream that I had prepared in the future. That's just something I've got to fix up next time round. So, is what it is. If you think that I'm streaming Heat Nets, then, well, that's just a bit unfortunate, isn't it? So, yeah. But we are very close to the count. Looks like we've got some pre-match entertainment. Not really match, but you know what I'm saying. Alrighty. So, if I look at this, I've got an article up. AFL.com predicts Lachie Neale for 26 votes. Oliver at 27. Cripps at 26. Brayshaw at 28. Took Miller at 30. Petrarca at 22. So, Took Miller could be, if you're the gambler type, he could be a very good choice. And so, or same goes with Brayshaw, to be honest. Brayshaw, I think, could be a really good chance, given Fremantle's performances this year. Could be a good shout. Could be a good shout if you're feeling it. Alrighty. Should be ready to go soon. Mate, they do love to drag things out. They do love to drag things out. The AFL, a fair bit of entertainment happening. They are obsessed with that. Very hungry for it. Huge downpour outside as well. Huge downpour. Okay. So, man, it's just a long wait now, isn't it? Put your thoughts in the chat, though. Put your predictions. Do want to hear. As you can see, did mention a few minutes ago, but Ollie Wine's obviously the last winner. He's not winning it this year. He's not even remotely close. He'll probably potentially crack 10 votes, if that. I think Connor Rosie is the favourite for Port Adelaide to get even close to winning. He's not going to, but I think he will get the most votes for the Power. North Melbourne probably not going to get any votes. They'll get a few here and there, but maybe Davies, Uniacke and Simpkin to rack up a few votes. West Coast, I think they could be the team that polls the least. Gold Coast took Miller, we know about. Noah Anderson will get a fair bit. Hawthorn, John Newcomb will get some votes. Geelong, that will be spread across the board. Essendon, Dylan Shield will get votes. Darcy Parish, not too many, given he had injury issues. Zach Merritt did really well in the back half of the season, so could be a shot there. GWS, not really any standouts there either. I think they'll be spread out. Himmelberg should get a few. Brisbane, Lachie Neale, we know. Port Adelaide, we mentioned. Collingwood, Nick Dacos will get on the board. I'm trying to think who else would get on the board for the Pies. Maynard will get a few votes. Who else plays in the midfield? Pendlebury. You're always bound to get some votes with Scott Pendlebury. Carlton, Cripps, we know. Walsh will get votes. Sard will get votes. Obviously, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable in that department. Richmond, you probably have Tom Lynch getting votes. Shai Bolton getting votes. I'm trying to think of a few others. Nick Vlosten maybe get some votes. But he was in and out of the side as well with injury. St Kilda, Jack Steele wasn't really up to scratch. I think Brad Crouch will get a lot of votes for them. For Melbourne, Petrarca and Oliver will share, and Maxi Gawn had a bit of a down year. So a couple seasons ago, he got about 20-something votes. Brayshaw could get a few votes. He was the underdog a few seasons ago and finished top 3, I think, by memory. So that was interesting, a bit unique. And the Bulldogs, while the Bont probably gets a fair bit, Bailey Smith will have an absolutely brilliant start to the season, I think, and then will trail off since that suspension. And then who else have you got? McRae will probably get a portion. And yeah, that pretty much is a fair bit of, that's a rapid recap of each team. Madison says maybe Cripper. I mean, you give him a shot, but you probably say he's not going to get it. I think he'll have an absolutely brilliant start to the year. He'll probably poll 3 votes in every game in the first month, besides the game he got injured, the Gold Coast game. Because those first 3 rounds of the season where we beat the Bulldogs, we beat Richmond, and we beat Hawthorn, I think he was very superior in all 3 of those games. And then the Gold Coast game, he was probably on track for another BOG, and then it fell flat. So he will poll well. It's just a matter of, how long he sustains that for. And I think the back half of the season is going to let him down. And I think a lot of Carlton supporters are going to be devastated. It's really, I think, his performance across the season, where it starts up here and then just trails off, is much like how Carlton's season went. We started off extremely well and then shit hit the fan, and we all know what happened after that. So let's not go there. But put your predictions in the chat. Anyone who has just joined us, thank you for tuning in, by the way. It has been a while since I've done one of these streams. So thanks to all those who have rocked up so far. I'm very aware that there's like 15,000 other streams, and good luck competing with those, especially if they're larger. But for the small community we have here this evening, thank you for rocking up. Thank you for tuning in. And hope you enjoy the stream. If you want to know where to stream it, just let me know. I've got a few places. I mean, it's common knowledge where you can find it. But if you want to watch it on 7+, you can watch it on your PlayStation. That's probably the most accessible thing, especially if the demographic here is more younger people. You can watch it on AFL Live app, and you can watch it on normal cable television. Simple shit. Bro, they're taking so long. They love to drag this out, and now they're doing a feature piece. So this is just typical Channel 7 for you. I do miss Channel 10 coverage. Channel 7 have renewed the rights, though. So to 2031. Also, if you've got any thoughts on the grand final, I mean, that thing's happening this week, believe it or not. Sydney taking on Geelong, obviously. Sydney going in as underdogs. We will have some content for that during the week. Bit of analysis. Yeah. So that should be good fun. Yep. So, I mean, past winners, we look back on those as well. I mean, there's some great footballing royalty here. You've got You've got Dustin Martin, you've got Tom Mitchell, you got Nat Fyfe, you got Lachie Neale who won it 2 years ago. Dangerfield. Matt Priddis is a really niche selection. I don't think people remember who that guy is, especially the younger generation. As in, I mean, I'm the younger generation, but the even younger generation probably don't know too much about Matt Priddis and how much of a brilliant servant he was for the Eagles. Gary Ablett, Trent Cotchin, Sam Mitchell, and Dane Swan, and Chris Judd rounded out for the last 12 years of winners. So, fair to say that whoever wins tonight probably, lives up to the same level as all those players that have won it in the past 12 or so years. But let's get the actual count up. It's not going to load up for a while because obviously the first round of games hasn't begun yet, and I've been live for 16 minutes. I thought it was going to be starting a little bit sooner, if I'm going to be honest, or about now, and it looks like we're about to reach that mark, hopefully. Cripps winning, no thank you, he's not doing that. It's not happening. I am a bubble burster, and I am just going to confirm the fact that it is going to be out of Neale, Oliver, Brayshaw, and Took. So, we'll see how we go. Get your devices out so you can watch it. We've got a nice little split screen between Brayshaw and Neale. I reckon it's going to come down to those two, to be honest, because I think Andy's just he's a workhorse, mate. He is an absolute workhorse, and he deserves every vote he gets. Clayton Oliver as well. I do think that Petrarca could nab a few off him, and even Brayshaw, but I think Oliver... Whoa, voice crack. Oliver was the standout out of the three. Yeah. So I think that's probably where it sits and Took. I think he could be swept under the rug. A little bit of a smoky pick. As I said, if you're a gambler, you potentially could put money on Took and he could win you some good coin. But I'm not that guy to really call that out. Anyway, the track as well and Cripps are probably in the same category, I think. I think they're the second rung below the, your Brayshaws, your Neils, your Olivers, and your Tooks. To those who have just joined us, welcome to the stream. I hope you all are all doing well. We got the full count. You can see the round by round. We will have the leaderboard here as well. All hopefully live and updated. And yeah. I mean, I hope it starts soon. Oh, we've also got Goal of the Year. We've got Mark of the Year also being announced. I'm just trying to have a look and see who's on which tables. Daniel Rich for Brisbane. It looks like Nathan Broad for Richmond. Cripper, who else? Oh, it looks like they're bringing in the medal via the Armour Guard van. And it's going up to Big Gill. Will be his last Brownlow medal. So, better relish the moment. Danger, Jeremy Cameron, Hawkins, Selwood. Obviously, the Swans have got their own little function on, given it's they need to prepare up at the SCG throughout the week before the big final that they will play. And it looks like we're about to get underway finally. About time, you would have thought. And Big Gill, we're going to get ready for it. Here we go. And I don't know if I want to put the volume up a little bit. Put your predictions in the chat, by the way, everyone. Introduce yourselves. Share your thoughts. Who's winning the flag? All these are footballing questions that have many discussion points. Big Gill obviously doing his little pre-match speech. I keep saying pre-match. It's pre-Brownlow, whatever you want to say. Production quality of this stream has gone up since last year. We're also close to 450 subs, so if you want to hang around and see some footballing content, I will be posting throughout this week in the lead up to the grand final, potentially, hopefully, and beyond. Stay tuned. But yeah, you can see the first round of games are here. I am probably saying, in terms of bolters, good volume, perfect. We've had issues last year, in past streams that I just can't get the volume right. Microphone is perfect distance away, and I usually stutter at this kind of stuff, so it's good that I'm getting a bit of continuity with the speech. But what the hell's Nat Fife doing at one of the tables? I mean, he's not worthy of that. All right, so it looks like we're just getting a bit of perspective on who will be talking. I don't know. Reading votes? I've got no idea. But this is the first year, obviously, it's been back in Melbourne for about 3 years. So first time I think was in Brisbane. Second time was in, I do believe, I don't know where it was last year. But a lot more people were at home than they were at the actual count. So a bit messy, but we've finally got the band back together, and we should be ready to get underway in just a few short minutes. Gillen is just dragging this shit out. I feel like this is always a discussion point with the Brownlow count every single year on Twitter. It goes absolutely mental about how long this count goes and how it takes like 3 hours to get to round 12 or something, you know? So, for God's sake, another cutscene. Man, they do love their cutscenes, the AFL. They should make a video game specifically licensed by them. It looks like we're finally getting underway, I think, because I can see a bit of footage from Melbourne, the Bulldogs. So it looks like we're going to be kicking things off with round 1. And thank God and good riddance. And interesting, Nick Martin kicked 5 goals in round 1. Jack Hayes kicked a few in round 1 as well, but Collingwood got up there. Danaher had a huge mark and then handed it off. And I think they missed. Heath Chapman with the mark on the goal line, or Spoil on the goal line that kept it out. And that was a crucial point, or point that they didn't concede, because those 2 points ultimately gave them the leg up in the final series, potentially. Then again, if they played Richmond in the first week of the finals, it could be interesting. But the count has begun and Oliver's got a vote. McRae's got 2 and Petrarca has got 3. So he begins things, and mate, it's already ahead of the ball game. Chera's got 3 votes for Carlton, and I didn't think he played the best of games. And we're off to a flash. DeGoey's got 2 votes, Hayes got 1, and Lipinski with 3 in his first game for the club. Hawkins with 1. Nick Martin with 2 as expected, with that 5-goal haul on debut, and Danger with 3 votes. GWS Sydney, Tom Green's got a vote. Heaney's got 2 votes, he'll get a few votes. And Luke Parker with 3, I think he kicked a few goals as well. Brisbane Port, you've got Boak with 1, you've got Neil with 2, and you've got Dan Houston with 3 goals in that loss. Hawthorn North, Tom Mitchell gets a vote. McDonald with 2 votes, and 3 votes is to CJ. I do remember that brilliant first game of the season by him, and you can see on the screen Ben Keys, Brayshaw, and Rochelle on debut as well, getting a vote for the Crows. And then the Eagles Suns to finish things off. Rankin with a vote, Took with 2 votes, and 3 votes to Matty Rowell, who started the season a bit meh. He's had a bit of a mess season, but we've got round 2 now, and obviously Buddy kicked 1,000 that week. I've just got to adjust Hang on. So I think that'll be top. And then the next 5 will be there. Okay. And we've just got to be very quick on this, because I'm going to have to move from round 1 to round 2 very quickly. There we go. All right, round 2. Interesting. You can't really say much at the moment. Cripps going to have a good first half. Indeed he is. Will fall off after the buys like the Blues. Okay, so we've got our first game done. First week of fixtures done. There's nothing you can really say about this. Too early to make any comment. And for the Bulldogs and Carlton obviously won this one. Charlie with the votes, and 2 for Harry and 3 for Cripps, which sends him to 4. Heaney's got 5 votes in the first 2 weeks, and Buddy got a vote in his 1000th game. Mills gets on the board. For Collingwood, who won this round 2 fixture, DeGoey, 2nd week in a row. Ben Keys, 2nd week in a row. And Jack Crisp with 3. Ben Keys is going to poll fairly well in the first half as well. Merritt with the vote. McCluggage with 2. And 3 to Lockie Neal, so he's on 5 as well. Equal joint lead. Mitchell with another single votes. Mitch Lewis gets a couple. And Boak got 3 votes when they got flogged. Interesting. So, Gold Coast, Melbourne. All the big boys get votes there. Petrarca, Miller, Oliver. And for North West Coast, you've got Zeeble, Hugh Greenwood, and Nick Larkey getting votes in what was a really dull game with a lot of waffle players for West Coast. In the Richmond win, Bolter gets votes, probably his first of his career, and Jaden Short got some as well. And final game of the round, Higgins, King, and Brad Crouch. No, Andy Brayshaw gets 3 in a losing effort. So all the big boys have started pretty well, and we have already advanced to round 3. The showdown was decided after the siren. Collingwood choked a lead, and that was the last time they did that. Ultimately, they, since that point, never really looked back and were able to win pretty much every single game in close quarters. Anyway, Carlton held on by a point after basically choking the lead. Should have never gotten to that point. We won anyway. Thank God. Anyway, round 3 of fixtures. Who we got? Bulldogs Sydney at the Etihad Stadium. Marvel, whatever. Bailey Smith gets on the board. Dunkley and Timmy English. He will get a fair few votes. Melbourne Essendon, Langdon, Oliver, and probably Petrarca again. No, Gus Brayshaw gets on the board. I think Dawson will get votes for the Crows. And he does. He gets all 3. And then GWS Gold Coast, Josh Kelly, Taranto, and it is Tom Green. First win of the season for GWS, and they clean sweep the votes. Elliott, Tom Stewart, and Jeremy Cameron with the votes for Geelong. And then Brisbane, North Melbourne. You've got Link McCarthy, Dane Zorko, and Jared Lyons getting the points there. So no Lockie Neal points. Doc gets a vote in the Hawthorn game. Hewitt gets 2. And Cripper gets 3. So he's on to 7, and he takes the lead early going. Max King, Jack Steele, and Jade Gresham get votes as well for the Saints. And then Fremantle, West Coast, you've got Will Brodie with a vote. He'll get a fair few. Brayshaw with 7 and Lockie Schultz with 3. So that rounds out round 3. And Andy Brayshaw and Cripps are on top at the moment with 7 apiece. And it is a pretty good start by those two. I don't think that's surprising by any means. Those who have just joined us, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. We've got the full full level of action. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We're not going to discuss that in any way, shape, or form. But you can see who's leading. We've had 3 rounds elapse, and this was the last round of results as well. Cripps with 3, to put him on top, and so does Andy Brayshaw, and he looks very well positioned because I think he's going to be a consistent poll getter, vote getter in this 2022 season. So if you fall behind early to Andy Brayshaw, you could be in a little bit of strife. And Cripper has set the pace, but obviously went out with injury in round 4, so he won't be getting votes for that one. And Andy Brayshaw is probably going to continue where he left off. We actually will have a look at round 4 games. And you can see there was that really shit game at the... Shit, I'm not going to be able to get it, am I? That really shit game at the Adelaide Oval, where Port didn't kick a goal in a half a footy. Cats beat Brisbane. Swans narrowly beat North Melbourne. The Pies somehow lost the West Coast. Don't even ask me how that happened. Richmond got up. Fremantle beat GWS, and I think Brayshaw would probably poll. Took Miller will probably get votes in the Suns game. St Kilda, I don't remember watching that, but I'm pretty sure Brad Crouch will get votes. And the Essendon Adelaide game, you could potentially say Tex Walker will get votes. Darcy Parish potentially. And someone else. Wouldn't have a clue. But yeah. Alrighty. Anyway. So, first 3 rounds are done. Once again, don't really have much else to say than what I've just said. If we can get a little bit of conversation going in the chat if you want. Say hello. See what's up. Anything football related. Obviously a big week coming up. Will have some content on the way if you want to subscribe and stay tuned for that content. We'll be doing a little bit of a film analysis. And just basically analyse what Sydney did and what Geelong did and how that's really going to potentially indicate how this grand final is going to pan out. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Yeah. Alrighty. So, I'm not even sure who the goal of the year contenders are. And mark of the year. I think Josh Dacos is one of them, I've heard. And then there's obviously mark of the year as well, and I'm not sure who's that either. Wouldn't have a clue. I have absolutely no idea where the AFL website is. Really shitting itself. If you can help me in the chat, because I'm struggling to source the nominees. Mark of the year. I can't find it. That's poor from me. Ollie, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you are enjoying the coverage, whether it's my coverage, Channel 7 coverage, whatever the hell. But thanks for joining us. Round 4 should be on the way. And I tell you what, the season has gone like that in an absolute flash. It looks like the mark of the year's already being done. And I don't even know the nominees, so I will be thoroughly surprised here. We've got Sammy Walsh doing the reading out. And I'm not really sure about this because I haven't really got any proof that Sammy Walsh is capable of getting up. So, hasn't really taken a big grab yet. I'm really going to have a sore throat by the end of this. Anyway, let's have a look at the nominees. So the first nominee is Charlie Spargo, round 11. Oh, it's a very nice hang. He was sort of running back with the flight, and he's plucked it with two hands. So a good grab. Nothing special. Georgiades, round 16. That's got a lot more elevation, and he fell flat on his back. So a little bit of impact factor. And that should give him, you'd put him higher than Spargo. And then Toby Green, round 19. And he did get up there and he landed very graciously on 2 feet. Probably the cleanest grab of them all. And that's it. I didn't think it was that. It's nothing special, is it? And the winner is Mitch Georgiades. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'm not arguing with that. The standard, I'd argue, is pretty low. You look at that year and you look at other years, and probably doesn't really live up to the standard that you'd expect from a mark of the year. But he's got it, and it's not a bad mark by any means. But yeah. Oh yeah, I just realised Sam Walsh won Mark of the Year last year with the going back with the flight mark, I think against Port Adelaide. So that's why he's reading it out. I can't find it on my computer, so it resulted to you. If you have a phone and you got the AFL Live app, you can watch the game or the stream. How many times have I said the game? Green not happy. Given the standard, you probably would be a bit pissed that you missed out. Standard's pretty low. You should have cleaned up that award. Anyway, we've got round 4. Geelong won at GMHBA. GWS went to 1 and 4, and Fremantle made a meal of it. Oh no, sorry, GWS did. West Coast lost again. Oh, they won. Sorry, they won. This is the game that they kicked 14 goals 3. Had like 8 less shots on goal, and then the rest was history. Richmond got up. Rewalt by the looks unleashed the torp from outside 50. Shea Bolton just looked dangerous and kicked a goal from the boundary. He's so smooth with it, it's just unbelievable. And more midfield time should be on the cards for 2023. Anyway, we've got round 4, Port Melbourne, Langdon, Harms and Gawn with his first votes of the year. And Geelong Brisbane, McStay with a vote. Don't think he's ever polled before. Isaac Smith and Tomahawk with 3, so 4 for him. Jai Simpkin got a vote. Not surprising. McInerney with 2. And Jack Siebel with 3. So he's got 4 votes. That's a good poll for Siebel. Grundy with a vote. McGovern with 2. Probably their first votes of the year. And Nick Dacos with his first votes of his career. You can also see Richmond have clean swept the Bulldogs game. And Jaden Short's got 5 votes. He could be a very good poller for them. Taranto with a vote. Mundy with 2. And you already know it's going to be, Will Brodie with 3 votes. So Brayshaw gets nothing. And probably a Lockie Ash tag in that game. Ben Keys goes equal top. And Parrish gets 3 votes in the win for the Bombers. And for St Kilda, Jack Sinclair gets a couple. And Jack Steele with 3 votes. So Brad Crouch is not polled yet. Zach Williams got a vote for Carlton in a loss. Lockie Weller, and then it is going to be Noah Anderson with 3 votes. So we must have tagged him. I think Georgie Hewitt, probably the guy, did that. Anyway, we're going to the next game, and I've got to move my ass again. It's much simpler than last year, where I was doing it in Photoshop, for crying out loud. This time it's a bit simpler. I can just watch it and embrace the poll getting instead of having to input every single value myself and do math. Anyway, this game I was at for Carlton went off to an extremely fast start, and it was happy days. And then they nearly sunk us. Fremantle got up convincingly. Hawthorn beat Geelong on Easter Monday, to everyone's surprise, by a couple of goals, and Mitch Lewis was really exceptional in that one. Anyway, Brisbane Collingwood to kick things off. I think De Goey was great in this game. Crisp. De Goey gets 2 votes, and Lockie Neal with 3. So he's back on top. The man, the myth, the legend. The Bont with a vote. They destroyed him on Good Friday. And Bailey Smith with 3 votes. So he goes to 4. West Coast Sydney. West Coast kicked a goal, I think, in their first half this game. Callum Mills with 3 votes. Laddams with 2 and Parker with 1 for that one. Took with a vote against the Saints. Jack Steele to 7 votes. And I didn't think he was that good at the start of the year, but it's going to count for nothing when he went out with that injury. Dawson with a vote. Ben Keys is on top. And Tex with 3 votes. So Benny Keys, very good start to the year. He was great in Supercoach and Fantasy. And turns out that the umpires obviously had him on their teams as well. Petrarca with 3 votes. He's back on top as well. Carlton Port now. Hewitt with a vote. Charlie with 2. And 3 to Sammy Walsh. So he gets on the board with 3 votes. Matty Kennedy on that table as well. Interesting stuff. Sean Darcy. Andy Brayshaw on top as well. So we've got a 3-way tie so far for first place. 9 points each. Hawthorn, Geelong, and Jai Newcomb gets his first votes. He really came into his element in the middle part of the season, and Sicily rounds it out with 3 votes on Easter Monday. So we've got Brayshaw, Keys, and Petrarca on 9 votes. Neil and Cripps round out the top 5. And Ben Keys is the smoky. Very easy to forget how good of a season he had to kick things off. I mean, there was a consecutive run of like 25 plus disposals in every game for quite a while. I think the first 2 months of the season or something. So he had a really consistent run of form, and then it sort of went down a little bit, and then he played that defensive forward role at the end of the year. Yeah. So interesting stuff there, but credit to him, he's already got 9 votes. Who's in goal of the year? I would love to ask the same question to the audience, because I do not know. I think Dacos is one. Not sure about the other 2. I can't even load it up because the AFL website is shitting itself. Okay, so Dacos, Shea Bolton, I'm presuming that goal against the Bulldogs from the boundary, and then the Draper goal where he scored from the middle of the ground. He just took it out of the ruck, I think, and then just absolutely accelerated to goal. So yeah, it was the Shea Bolton one from the boundary, where he's roved the ball. No, sorry. He snatched it out of a Bulldogs player's hands and kicked it on the left from the pocket. Hold on, let me just get to the next round. Gotta hurry up for round 6. So there was that game. It's showed me like 7 different replays. Anyway, then you've got the Dacos goal from against Essendon, where he has, let's have a look at it again. So he's taken it on the wing, handballed it out in front, bounced it out in front, got past 2 defenders in the process, basically walked the tightrope, came back onto the inside, and snapped on the right and kicked the goal. So I think the build-up of that goal is much more impressive than the Shea Bolton goal. Yeah, basically fixed the angle up for himself and snapped a brilliant goal. It was one of the cleanest ones on this list. I mean, mind you, there's only 3, but Draper took it out of the ruck, handballed it out to Guelphy, got it back, sidestep, broke the tackle, and banana from, well, on the right, going away from the goal. I mean, it's a tough one, and you probably say on, like, wow factor, it's probably him because he's a ruckman, but it's a tough selection for whoever decides that. I think you should be happy with any winner. I don't think it's Bolton. I think Bolton is probably the number 3, and whether it's Draper or Dacos remains to be seen. I think it's a really tough one. Commiserations, Collingwood. Thank you, Sydney. I cannot explain, as a Carlton supporter, how excited I was when I saw the result. I didn't even watch the game. I had to watch it on replay. But absolute ecstasy when I heard the final score. Mind you, they did it extremely tough, and it wasn't worth anyone's anxiety. But Sydney, I mean, they deserved it. They had an 11-goal first half, and usually on the back of that, you should win. But the fact that they nearly choked that, I think, is a very big red flag. And I will dissect that in my film analysis this week. If you want to stay tuned for that, subscribe to the show if you aren't already and you think that'll interest you. I really want to analyse Geelong's second half and Sydney's second half. See what Sydney did wrong and what Geelong did right. And you sort of see Collingwood in what Geelong did, and you sort of see Sydney in what Brisbane did. It sort of mirrored the game from the night before in terms of how Geelong were just able to be so much classier than their opponents and run over the top, in essence. And inversely, you look at the Sydney-Collingwood game and you see Sydney, they fell flat in the second half. You know, they weren't awful, but Collingwood just looked like a steam train. Like, everything was just met with aggression. And we saw Geelong's aggression. I've seen nothing like it. But it's really been their running ability that has transformed that side. And I think if Max Holmes isn't playing for Geelong, I think it's a big blow, because he's that youthful guy. He plays on the wing. He's kicked a number of goals from running the tram lines all year long. And, you know, if he just gets let down by an injury in the week that he most desperately wanted to play, it's not going to happen too many times in your career playing grand finals. I mean, if you're playing for Geelong, you never know. You could have a really good run, but I think he's really crucial to their hopes. But ultimately, they're playing like a team. You've got fringe players performing when you need them to. Brad Close, Tommy Atkins has really come into his element. Mark O'Connor did a job when he came on as sub. I'm trying to think of other fringe players. Zach Guthrie, mate, that guy was a dud last season, and he is just he looked pretty good. He looked pretty solid on the weekend. Collar Jasny as well. He was pretty good. He wasn't afraid to peel off his man and just sprint, beeline it right at the footy. So, yeah, nuts. It's gonna be a really interesting grand final, but judging from the two performances that were dished up on the weekend, sure, Sydney's first half was unbelievable, and I'm not going to discredit them for that. Geelong just look ridiculous. I mean, where's the flaw? If you can point out a flaw for Geelong, put it in the chat and we'll discuss it a bit. Mate. Because right now I'm finding it really difficult to... I mean, I want Sydney to win. I think it'd be a great story. It'd be a little bit triggering that they had a 2-year rebuild and were able to make a grand final within 2 years. But I mean, credit to them for getting there. There were times this season where it didn't look like they were going to make the four. Like they sort of like fell off it a little bit in comparison to last season, but they picked it up right at the end. 7 wins to end the season. I mean, both teams are on an absolute tear. Both teams haven't lost in at least 2.5 months, I think. Geelong haven't lost in 4 months, which is just nuts. And it would be an eternal choke if you lost in the grand final after winning 15 straight weeks or whatever it is. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really good one to close things out. I don't know what these cutscenes are. Once again, the AFL, I feel like they'd be really good. They should collaborate with 2K or something. Or just some video game that just goes fucking overboard with the cutscenes. Because right now, I'm seeing a lot of cutscenes. I mean, do this in like a separate documentary or something. Like all this extra content could be AFL.com worthy. It could be documentary worthy, like a little pre-Brownlow hype video. Why are you doing this now? You know? Anyway, those who have just joined us, have just joined us, welcome. Nice to see you all. We've got a little community in chat right now. Introduce yourselves if you want. Like and subscribe if you want. If you have missed the Brownlow so far, you can see exactly what's going on here. We're at about round 5. And, we're just about to kick things off with that one. We had the Q clash. We had Stephen May hit into a goal post. We had Dawson take a hanger in Ballarat. We had Geelong make a mess of North Melbourne. Again, no surprise. Port Adelaide were kicking snags for fun against the Eagles. The Crows surprised the Dogs in Ballarat. They only won by a point, but that was a really good start to the year. And then the Dockers destroyed us, taught us a lesson at home, and that was a bit of a reality check given we had lost to the Suns the week before. And that Cripper out was a bit shit. Had Anzac Day as well, and obviously this is where the Dacos goal, which is in goal of the year, happened. Jack Ginnivan had a really good game. I think he kicked 5 goals or something, and he could poll. We're off and running with round 6, should I say. And St Kilda kick things off. Sorry, Josh Kelly kicks things off. Brad Crouch with a couple of votes. Higgins has 7 votes, and he's in the top 5 or 6. Bailey Smith with 5. At the moment, O'Brien gets a couple votes, and Tex with 7 as well. So Tex being really good to start. Port will clean sweep, and they do. Ollie Wines, the reigning champ, gets some votes, and Connor Rosie gets a couple. Paddy Cripps looks like he's gone top because, well, quite frankly, I can't even see the Fremantle stuff yet, but he got 3 votes in a losing effort. And credit to him, because I think potentially was injured in that game. Guthrie with a vote, Tui with a couple, and Jeremy Cameron with 3 votes, so he's on 6. Noah Anderson gets a vote. Zach Bailey with a couple. I think he kicked 6 in this game, and Lyons with 3 more votes. Melbourne kicked 9 goals, 22 in this game, and Petrarca. Langdon has polled in, I think, 3 games, and Oliver's got 3 votes in that one to send him to 8. And we've got Hawthorn and Sydney, where Laddams gets 2 votes again, and Callum Mills now has 8 votes as well. And then Jack Ginnivan gets 3 votes, DeGoey has 2, and Darcy Parish with 1 in that game where the Pies won by a narrow sub-2 goal margin, something they'd be very familiar with over the course of the season. So we have another stoppage in play. Thank God, because I need to rest my voice. because it's a long haul. We're here for the long haul. Wow. Okay. Let's just get the next round up. Going into round 7 shortly. And, I think Tom Lynch is going to get votes, to say the least, because I think he kicked 9 goals in this game or something stupid like that. Fremantle won against Geelong, and I don't know if this is the last game Geelong lost, but probably 1 or 2 later, but yeah, that was a big win for Freo there. I think the small forwards may get votes here. Melbourne, Petrarca and Oliver, I think, will get votes. Dylan Moore potentially could get a couple. That game, St Kilda Port, was god-awful to watch. Carlton beat North, and I think Cripps could get another 3 for. That doesn't make any sense, but it'll get 3 votes. Collingwood, Gold Coast, Darcy Cameron could poll off memory. Bulldogs, Essendon, don't remember that fixture, but I would probably expect the Bulldogs midfield to wipe that one clean. And Brisbane, Sydney, that was at the SCG. I think Lachie Neale was excellent in that game. And I do believe the key forwards off memory as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it probably would be 2 Lions players and 1 Swans player in that one. Yeah, but pretty good round of footy this one. You had a couple good fixtures in there, couple even fixtures. Yeah. Yeah. But to those who have joined, hello friends. Hope you're enjoying the feed so far. Just let us know if it's all going okay. We're all about customer service. I do sound like a telemarketer when I'm saying that. Anyway, we're on to round 7. And as mentioned, Fremantle won against the odds. And this is when you knew they were the real deal. We got the power kicking a behind Robbie Gray, this time doing the efforts, not having to kick a goal after the siren, just needing to, get a score. Anything would do. Cunnington and Doc, the 2 cancer victims, united. The D's won by 10 points, and that was a good win against the good Hawks outfit. They weren't messing around this season. GWS got up. Did they get up? Yeah, they did. That was surprising to many. Cripper had a really good game, and he will definitely poll again. The Swans and the Lions, Lachie Neale, say less. Man's kicked a brilliant goal, as we can see on the highlight reel, the montage for that round. And we will see the pollers. They've started with St Kilda, Port Adelaide, and they're going with Seb Ross, Jack Steele with 2 votes, and Ollie Wines with 3. So he's had a couple 3-vote games. Tom Lynch with 3 votes, Bolton and Short as well. So Jaden Short is leading the count for the Tigers at present. Crows, Giants, Jesse Hogan and Josh Cully with 3 votes. I think Josh Cully's probably going to be the highest poll getter. Umpires would probably see him as the most influential. Bailey Smith with 2 votes, and as expected, the Dogs midfield wiped that one clean. Blake Acres with a vote, future Carlton player, hopefully. Blitzarves with 2, and Tom Stewart with 3 votes, obviously ineligible as well. Lipinski got a vote, first since the first round of the season. Tukamilla with 3 votes in a loss, and that puts him on 8. Sicily with a vote. Oliver with 2, he's in double digits, and Maxi Gorn with 3. And they're going Sydney, Brisbane first, and then they'll see if Cripps will get 3 votes, and Lachie Neale with 3 votes. So he is on top, and you would expect Cripps to overtake. Mind you, a lot of people could have gotten votes in this game, And yours truly, Paddy Cripps, gets 3 more. So 7 rounds have elapsed, and Paddy Cripps has 13 votes. And he has, well, he only missed 1 game from here on out. So it's going to be interesting. But we're going to have a cracking count. Right now it is Cripps on top. He's had 4 3-vote games. The 2 games he missed, he was both out with injury. And the first game of the season we obviously won. And that was swept by Blues players. So a couple of players stealing the votes off him. But top 5, I mean, are they really that surprising? You will see on the little scroller that's just down here, you will see that, not the past winners, but you will see the pre-count odds, and of the players that are currently in the top 5, they were all in the top 8 odds-wise as well. So no surprises there. But yeah, so right now it's a good start for Cripper. Sorry, Don't At Me says, is this count taking a lot longer than usual, or is it just me? This is the norm. This is the norm, and it's irritating as hell because, you know, Channel 7 love to put in their ads, or people are paying them for ads, and on top of that, they do love their little cutscenes. They are a video game, the AFL. Honestly, could facilitate a video game by all these ads, bro. All these ads and all these freaking microtransactions and bloody, I don't know, cutscenes, mate. It's just really unnecessary time. I really just want to be able to press X on my PS4 controller and just skip, bro. Just skip. Let's cut to the chase, mate. What round is it? It is round 7 just ended, and we're going into round 8. God knows when. It's my best guess. To be honest, though, first, well, the count started about an hour or half hour ago, and we're about, we're 7 rounds in, so we're just under a third of the way in, and it's taken half an hour. So it looks like we're going to be here for a while, probably 10:30. It's going to take forever, but ayo, if you want to hang around, I'm not going anywhere, mate. I'm in the same situation as you lot. So yeah, I don't know why I'm holding my water bottle. What is my name? Well, we keep it undisclosed, but the show is called The Saba Show, so Saba, or Sab, whatever. Run with. Sab, probably. It's probably better. Yeah. And it's weird, the origins. Yeah. Anyway. We are done with round 7. And your boy is out in front, Paddy. Get around it. I'm probably... Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to surrender the lead at probably around 17 or something. I feel like someone's just going to go on a full, like, a momentum type run and just not look back. And from current view, I'm really surprised Brayshaw hasn't polled, because Fremantle started off the season extremely well. And he got off to a fast start, but the votes have dried up for him in the last few weeks. Petrarca and Oliver, I'm really surprised they've both got 10. They've been able to get 10 votes out of each of them. Lockie Neal with 11, that's not surprising. He's probably going to be the guy. Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's going to be really scary, I think. Carlton supporters are probably fingers crossed. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be like, I really hope a Carlton player wins. It's good vibes if a Carlton player wins, but honestly, if there's a righteous winner, I'm not going to take it away from them. I didn't have high expectations that Cripper was going to win this because there's such a good pool. A pool of players that are equally deserving in Took, in Brayshaw, in Neil, in Oliver, in Callum Mills even. I'll tell you what's interesting though, Rory Laird hasn't polled yet. I don't know how long he was out with that hand injury, but as soon as he came back, that guy was on a tear. On an absolute tear. So, actually, we will suss that out. We'll just go to round 8. And have a look at the games. So, okay, Fremantle obviously going to poll all 3 in that game. Port Bulldogs, I don't remember who had a really good one. Zach Butters, maybe. I don't know if he played well in that game. Swans v Suns, Noah Anderson and Miller potentially. Looks like they got the Oz Kicker of the Year. And who is that up there? Dyson Heppel. And that's pretty wholesome. They've got the Oz Kicker of the Year. He's probably got the most eccentric haircut, and eccentric is another way to say shit haircut. That haircut's just, that ain't it, Chief. Don't give your kids shit haircuts. And I can't talk because I haven't been blessed with the best hair, but that's what the cap is for, mate. Yeah, but that mullet's that's something different, mate. I'm not gonna dispute it. You know, full power to you, but not for me, mate. Not for me. I could never rock a mullet. Yeah, that trim is it's a bit questionable. I think it's really taking away from the wholesomeness of this interview, or what's supposed to be of this interview. Anyway, we're merely waiting. This is just another one of the AFL cutscenes. I mean, I don't know how many times I've mentioned AFL and their cutscenes. This stream so far, but you get the gist. You know the deal. It looks like maybe his grandfather played for Essendon or something. I'm not sure, because I just saw an old person on the large display. So potentially some ties to some Essendon footballing heritage. Dyson's just having a great time up there. Got a nice round of applause, and it looks like we're going into round 8. Never mind, it looks like the retirees we're gonna get treated to here. Nice little package for those guys. Probably an underrated part. Robbie Gray retiring, that's a big loss. I mean, obviously had a bit of a down season, but he still had some big moments. In this year, still can hold his own. Had some big moments. Getting obviously into the twilight of his career. Michael Hurley, I mean, couldn't get out onto the park for so damn long, and he was able to play the last game of the season, which was good. Josh Kennedy, what a player. What a player, what a warrior. Won a premiership with the Eagles. Just a very consistent footballer over the years. Kane Lambert used to play for the Carlton Reserves in the VFL. And I was pissed when we didn't get him in. Won 3 flags. Dan Hanbury potentially was hinting at a return at another club. Not really. I mean, how funny would that be? Gone through the whole procedure of retiring, only to come back next year. I mean, Luke Hodge did it, but, Paddy Ryder also done. His body probably just told him, no more. Ben McAvoy obviously was there for the golden era for the Hawks as well, and he'll pass the reins off to the young Hawthorn Ruckmans Ruckman in Reeves and the other bloke, Maxi Lynch, Luke Brown, Matt DeBoer in his prime, the most irritating tagger, and I'll tell you what, he was probably one of the better taggers in the game until like last year. Josh Kennedy for Sydney, what a servant to the club as well. Consistent midfield bull, would pad the stats. Stevie Motlop, big moments. Didn't get a lot of the footy, but, especially in showdowns, really rocked up. Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody, I feel like we've forgotten about this guy. I mean, what a waste of a talent. Probably had a few years of footy left in him and would have been a great mentor to the young Essendon forward line. I mean, they don't really have any small forwards. Devon Smith, another one, is gone for them. So I don't know who their small forwards are, but they really could have done with a bit more experience down there. Liam Shields, it feels like he's been around forever, and he won 3 flags as well. Mitch Robinson, I don't know if he's retiring yet, but he's not playing for Brisbane next year, out of contract. David Mundy, I mean, enough said. The media's talked about this guy. Probably not as much as they should have. He's been exceptional. Fremantle fans will be the first to admit that. Shane Edwards, very underrated. Very underrated. But very good footballer. And I don't know who else is left. Who else have we got? Anyone else? It's probably it by the looks. Yep. So, very good group. I think this is one of probably the better groups that we've had in a long time for in terms of retirees. I mean, David Mundy played about 300 and something games. But, gee, what a servant. What a servant. He's played 37, or he's 37 years old, but he's played about 18 seasons. And it's pretty much, definitely the whole time I've been following football. So he's been around. I don't know the AFL without David Mundy and Josh Kennedy and the other Josh Kennedy and all those guys. Let's have a look. Hang on. Rip Jimi Hendrix, 52 years ago today, the greatest Carlton grand final 1 week later. That's 52 years ago. That's nuts. The 1970 grand final. Wow. I feel like 1970 was only like 40 years ago. Jimi Hendrix. I'm not very good with like pop culture and stuff, but one simple Google search and I can see that he had a decorated career with the guitar. Not very educated on that front, but we're finally on round 8. Yes. Okay. A new lot of games to talk about, and Richmond beat Collingwood. I mean, that feels like ages ago. That was a really high-scoring one. I do remember Maurice Rioli had a really good debut match by the looks. I think that was his debut. Tom Lynch kicked a bag. Essendon beat Hawthorn, which didn't make much sense, given their start to the season was a bit shit, and Hawthorn's was very positive. Cripper, again, I mean, he's probably going to get more votes, and so is Charlie Curnow, who kicked, I think, 6 goals. you probably could say Charlie will get 3 votes, but it is a midfielders league, so Cripper could get 3. Anyway, Richmond Collingwood. We've got Shea Bolton with 4, and Tom Lynch got the 3 votes there. Peter Wright got 3 votes, Merritt with 2, and Jai Newcomb with 1. So there you go, Newcomb getting on the board again. GWS Geelong. Geelong will wipe this one out. Jeremy Cameron with 2 against his old side, and Mark Blitzarves, I think he'll get a fair few votes, especially in the back half of the year. I think that's where he really excelled. No votes for Took Miller. Braden Fiorini gets 3 votes. And, wow. McRae, Boker's 9, and Port have started the season like trash. So that just really goes to show how much of a level above he was in comparison to his opponents. And it looks like Brayshaw's got 3 votes in that huge win against North Melbourne. Charlie Cameron with the vote. Lockie Neal with 2 against the Eagles and 3 to McCluggage, so he stole a vote there. And then Melbourne get 3 from Oliver. And Langton's been a consistent poll getter. And Cripps, his game will be left to the last week. Doherty with a vote, Charlie with 2, and Cripper will get 3. Called it. And that is 16 votes for Cripps. So he's averaging 2 at the moment. And he's on a tear, I think, to say the least. And we'll advance to round 9. And this was the last time Collingwood lost before their win streak arrived. And this was also the round that Luke Parker mocked Dylan Shield and the Bombers. Bailey Smith kicked a snag from the boundary after he had a bit of smack talk to. Do I have that up? Hang on. Richmond got up in a high-scoring match. Suns beat Fremantle in terrible weather. And St Kilda surprised Geelong on that twilight fixture. So quite a few games that were interesting in this round. Leon Cameron finished up as Giants head coach, and that was a loss. Cripper could get 3 votes again. I'm not going to be surprised if it happens. Bulldogs, Dunkley gets a vote, Smith gets 2, and 3 to Adam Treloar, who hadn't polled all year and did so against the former side that is still paying his contract. Prestia gets 3 votes, Lynch with 1, Sinclair with a vote. Surprised he only is 3 in the first 9 rounds. Crouch gets all 3 votes in that game. Powpepper with 2. And, Ollie Wines with 3 votes. So he's had 3 games of 3 votes. Noah Anderson with a vote to get to 5. Took has 2. And 3 votes to Marby or Chol. Probably his first votes in his career. Giants Carlton, Doherty with a vote. Josh Kelly with 2. And Cripper, nope, it's Sam Walsh. Okay, so Cripper must have had a bit of a down game there. Potentially tagged. Tom Papley gets a vote. Caught him at the wrong time, and Callum Mills has 3 votes, so he's gone to 11. Cozzy Pickett with a vote. I think Petrarca had a ripper game here, and he will get the 3 votes. Yep, off memory. So no votes for Oliver in that big win over the Eagles. And Brisbane, Adelaide. Dane Zorko with 2. And 3 votes to Lachlan Neale. And it is 16 apiece between those two. And that is the round. And you've got Cripps and Neale tied up. And at the moment, if I just pause the stream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. So it's got Lockie Neale polling in 6 games, and it's got Paddy Cripps polling in 8, according to the Channel 7 feed. So, not 100% sure if that's misleading or not. I'm not going to be complaining, but once again we have another ad break, and here come the ads, the bullshit fillers, and the cutscenes. Most importantly, you already know. How do I get to that thing? Can you send the link in the chat? Yes, I can do that. Let me just find it if my AFL website loads up, because it has really been... It hasn't loaded the textures. That's a really Minecraft phrasing. Really Minecraft phrasing. Okay, let me just see if I can find it. See if I can get the link. Yeah. So if you want to see the Brownlow tracker, you either search Brownlow tracker, or you just look at that. And I'll pin the message for anyone who wants to look at it. And you'll be able to see the same feed as I do. I just feel like the coverage of the Brownlow medal is so much better than it was last year. It was a bit of a mess. But luckily they fixed things up this time around. It would have been really stupid if, you know, you can't get this shit right in the 21st century. I mean, come on. It's not rocket science. Anyone who wants to subscribe to the show for the upcoming week's worth of content and potentially off-season content, subscribe and like the show for a little bit of wee support if you are enjoying it. Do want to know if you got any feedback as well. Let us know. Will just help me to better the streams in the future. Even something as simple as just telling me if the volume's okay, because usually I can't get that one right. It's just a running gag. Am I a Lions supporter? Hell no. No. I am not a Lions supporter. I would not have been opposed to them if they did make the grand final, but ultimately I think it would have been so shit if Brisbane made the grand final over Geelong. Geelong have just dominated. They deserve to be there. And to get undone by a sixth, it would have been an absolute kick to the guts, but it would have been really funny. Given Geelong just can't buy a premiership. I think that if there's going to be one year that they seem to have already one hand on the cup, it's them. It's this year, it's this time. They've got to take the opportunity, because, you know, you can't take shit like that for granted, especially at the highest level. I'm a Carlton supporter. It should be heavily obvious by the tingo in the top left-hand corner of my webcam. Sorry for the question. Never be sorry for questions. I'm all about questions. Whatever team you support, whatever sport you follow, ask questions. Everything. Sorry for the question, but who's got a better chances of winning a comp? Nets or the Blues? Has to be Brooklyn. Has to be the Nets. Has to be the Nets. The Blues, I think, are a couple seasons away. 1 or 2 seasons. I think they can make the top 8 next year. I think 5th to 8th next year. Try to go for the 4 the year after, and hopefully be able to make that push to a premiership in that season. And I think anything less would be considered as, well, it would create pressure on Voss. My NFL comparison for the Blues are the Colts. I do not follow the NFL. Can't get around it. Just seems too complicating. Very complicated. Writing on the wall, indeed. 100%. Oh, looks like we're getting a little bit of a feature with Lance Franklin, his 1000th goal and the build-up. Chad Warner, looks like, yeah, he was involved in the build-up to hit Lance Franklin on the chest from memory. Had all the time in the world to just hit up Buddy, who was pretty much unmarked, and the rest was history. everyone was lined up on the fences, and you won't see anything like it for quite a long, long time. I think you need a huge change in the state of the game for something like this to ever happen again. Because kicking 100 goals is incredibly hard. It's emphasized a team game much more now. I mean, you look at Geelong. Tom Hawkins probably could kick like 7 or 8 a game, but he's very unselfish like that, and he's got goals to share with Jeremy Cameron and whatnot. He's just one of those players. I feel like earlier in his career he would have been a little bit different, and the state of the game was different, but now he's very much pass first, and I think that's the better way to play. But I would love to see someone kick 13 goals in a game, 12 goals in a game, and it be considered the norm. It'd just be amazing. Yeah. With the 76ers and the Bucks and the Cavs getting better, yep, I can agree the East is extremely deep for talent. Probably 8 good teams in that this year, and it'd be very tough to separate all of them and really pick your winning bracket, I guess you could say. Anyway, I don't understand why they can't just do like a full-length AFL documentary in like separately. Why do they need to do this? I mean, I understand breaking down the like it into segments to make it easier on like those that are actually at the venue. Like obviously if you're at home you can just get up and do whatever the hell you want. Get a bag of chips if you want. Come back when you're ready. But at the venue, I mean, you're still sitting down and eating stuff, so shouldn't be as much of an issue. Oh, this is jokes when some of the Sydney players found themselves outside the ground after that goal celebration. They were all split up. Some got to the rooms. Some were stuck on the other side of the ground. Put it on KO 7+ even. I don't even think so. I think that's it could be YouTube worthy content or YouTube worthy content, afl.com.au content. Potentially, KO. You could have like a nice little hour long feature of all the events in the season. I feel like that'd be much better. Much better. I'm about to get real nostalgic, but I just remember like back in the day, Channel 7 would have footy flashbacks. That'd be a TV show. And that was so good. You could watch. They'd always have like on a Sunday after AFL Game Day, which was another footy show at the time. You'd have, you'd be able to watch, basically a replay, and you'd get input from players that played in that game. Neil Danaher was actually one of those players in one of the episodes, and it's really weird to hear him. Obviously, you know how he sounds now, and you hear him then, and it's really trippy. But really good stuff. It's a shame that with COVID and budget cuts and all that stuff, that they've had to get rid of AFL shows. Like Channel 7 don't have any shows. They have the front bar, and that's about it. Channel 9 have a couple. Channel 10 don't have like any, mind you, because they don't have like any rights. But I mean, the online content is extremely better. KO's got an absolute crap ton of stuff, but for free to air stuff, like probably want a little bit more. I love footy flashbacks. Yeah, no, it was a great show, great show. I reckon 2011 was prime viewing days for footy. AFL and VFL. Looks like we've got the next round finally, and we're seeing a hanger from Howe. We're seeing goals from a couple other players. We're seeing some laughs. Hawthorn beat Brisbane in this game by 5 points. Very high scoring. Some dude got a tattoo on the back of his head. Carlton won this game. They once again had to hold off a team who came sprinting to the finish. Geelong, who did they beat? Port Adelaide. You had Richmond. You had a couple participants, a couple Richmond players that did the war cry or something along those lines. We've got round 10. We've gotten to round 10, and let's see who gets the votes. First up, Bulldogs Gold Coast. Norton gets a vote. He's had a few. Jack McRae gets a couple. And the Bont, who's been pretty quiet at the start of the year, he will get a few more in the back end. He's got the 3 votes in that game. Cameron and Wines hit double digits, and Cam Guthrie with 3 votes. He will get a fair few votes in the middle portion. Dawson, Brad Hill, and Max King with the votes in that game. In the Dreamtime game, Riewoldt gets his first vote, so does Baker, and it is Dion Prestia with another 3-vote game. The Richmond table are having a good laugh. GWS West Coast, Canelio gets a couple. And Josh Cully also hits double digits. I don't understand why it's taking so long for me to get those words out. Jack Crisp with 3 votes and no votes for Brayshaw there. Sicily gets another single vote. Newcomb's got a couple. And Tommy Mitchell with 3, so he's got 5. Carlton Sydney, Georgie Hewitt with 1. Lukey Parker with 2. And Charlie with 3 votes, so he's got 8. And Charlie's been he will get a few votes because of all those goals he kicked. Bailey Scott with a single vote, Petrarca with 2, and it looks like Clayton Oliver got 3 votes here. And those two are racking up the votes for their team. And immediately we progress into round 11, which is going against the trend of the AFL. I mean, what happened to the cutscenes? The Swans, I do remember this game. The very controversial end to the Sydney game where Warner booted it into the crowd whilst the game hadn't ended, but he couldn't hear because of all the crowd noise. Fremantle knocked Melbourne off. Collingwood beat Carlton in what was the most intense ending. And obviously that was only the first of 2 meetings, which provided the same feeling. Had a few hangers by the big men, by the looks. Also the game where Charlie Spargo had that goal or mark of the year contender. Barras was about to take a hanger but got spoilt by his own teammate. And it looks like we've also got... Jesus Christ. What the hell? Alex Keith, what a goal. And then he ran into Aaron Norton. Wow. Could have gotten a concussion from that. Anyway, we got votes. Buddy got 3 votes in the win against Richmond. Chad Warner with a single vote. Geelong Adelaide, we've got Cam Guthrie with a vote. Rory got a couple, and Tommy Stewart with 3. So Rory's got his first votes in round 11. Wow. Dunkley with a single vote. Bulldogs won this one by 101, so you would have expected the Bulldogs to do things there. Ollie Wines with a vote. Parrish and Powell Pepper as well got votes in this game. Powell Pepper was all right in quite a few games this year. I think he was a fair improver, obviously a fringe player at times last season and even as recently as this year. Jack Sinclair gets 3 votes for the Saints in that game. In their game, Took with a single vote. He's trudging along a little bit. Probably I expected him to get a few more. Paddy Cripps, Crisp, and Walsh get votes for their respective sides in the Carlton-Collingwood fixture. And that leaves the Melbourne, Fremantle, and Brisbane teams that probably concern us most. Rory Lobb with a vote. Brayshaw with a couple, and that means Oliver and Petrarca cannot get votes because, quite simply, Melbourne got dominated. Brisbane, Jared Barry gets a vote. Josh Kelly with 2, and Lockie Neal with 3. So he's now got the lead, and usually you would say that if he takes the lead, probably not looking back. So Cripper had a good start, and he's just slowing down a little bit. Sammy Walsh, I mean, there's a fair bit of banter going on around the Crown function room. He's had a very good year, though, Cripper, I have to say. A strong season. We'll move to round 12, which means that some teams will have the bye, which means that it can get a little bit misleading for the next 3 rounds, obviously with some teams having played an extra game than others. I wasn't really into it, but I would have loved TAC Future Stars to keep going. I do remember that show as well with Kevin Sheehan, I think his name is. That was a good show, and I think that would have really helped, especially if you're a footy nut like that. You know, you really love seeing the future ranks come up. You know, that would be really handy. I would love to see like the TAC Cup. It's not the TAC Cup, the NAB League. I would love to see highlights from those games. I feel like they're a bit less accessible, but with a show like the TAC Future Stars, that would be a bit easier to access and sort of be able to suss out and do a little bit of scouting without even having to leave your house. Anyway, so we are now on round 12. We're pretty much halfway through, and we've been going at it for about an hour, which I would say is good pace by the AFL, because they take too fucking long half the time. And just as I say that, the ads have arrived, and I'm in the shits again. Hang on, is that... Okay, so I've just seen on... I don't know if any of you know Elliot Loney. He's a comedian, and it looks like he's on Australia's Got Talent by the looks of that commercial. I know him for his tennis impressions, so he probably has either those lined up or something else. They're on the AFL app. I feel like it's a little bit like out of your way though. Like you could just turn it on. You could just turn on the TV and be able to find, you know, if you tuned in at a certain time, you'd be able to watch exclusive tailored content for the under-18s competition. Instead of having to go on your phone on the app and go digging for the content. I mean, they do have like their end of year stuff where they do like the they do like those feature pieces, and I forgot what it's called, but they've got like a bit of content there, like when the draft rolls around. But throughout the season, like apart from like the grand final and stuff, like I saw a bit of coverage from that this week, but I didn't really see much in the build up to the grand final. Like I didn't really see much finals content. You actually have to go on like their Instagram pages and basically have to go on like I don't know what the websites are called, but there are websites where you can look at information that some people have actually gone to the game and actually sussed it out. But I just feel like it was more, or it was easier. I think that was on Channel 9 as well. So I think that actually followed the footy show in the mornings, which I'd always tune into. Does Dave Hughes better than Dave Hughes? I haven't heard his Dave Hughes impression, so I probably have to Google that one after the stream is over. But yeah, I mean, let us know in the chat if you were around, or in your opinion, what is the best coverage of the AFL? In the time you followed the AFL, what is the best coverage you've felt has existed for the AFL? I personally think the era of like 2008 which is when I probably started following more religiously, to 2011 was the best period for AFL coverage. Channel 10 broadcasting was superior. The VFL was on ABC, and that was awesome on Saturdays. And then you had so many shows on. You had Game Day, you had before the game, before the Saturday night fixture on Channel 10, you had you had Game Day and Footy Flashbacks. You had on Channel 10 before the game. On Channel 7, you'd have Sunday afternoon footy, and you'd have Friday night, and that was it. And basically, game was over, you sing the song and you're off. None of this, post-game, behind-the-scenes crap. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that it wasn't there. It wasn't accessible. Started around 8 years ago, and I've only got sevens coverage. You missed the golden era. I mean, people older than me would argue that that I've been missing out on something, but hang on a second. Gee, so Jim Steins. It looks like we've got a little plug for the foundation, which is a great cause. Jim Steins. I don't remember what cancer he went to. Obviously was claimed, unfortunately, by the illness. I don't remember. What was it? Yep. So it was melanoma, I believe, yeah. So, obviously, I don't know if the foundation is to do with research or... what does it do? We'll have a little look. It supports disadvantaged youth. The 90s and early 2000s was great footy. I mean, obviously I can't vouch for that, but you go back the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, there was no filter. You could punch someone up and you possibly would get suspended, but it was just the normality. The 90s, I mean, the 70s and 80s were good because Carlton won flags. I haven't seen Carlton win a flag, so all I know is mediocrity. But back then, a lot of Carlton supporters would argue that was the best time of their lives. But overall, I think just the brand, much more simplistic. None of this bullshit ruling changes every single year. I don't think any other league, professional sporting league, does it like the AFL in changing every single year and making it really tough for umpires to officiate. Bumps and brawls, yet it was all normality and no one would give a shit. Probably the best way... Oh, no. Look, you had to remove that from the game, but you could argue, you could make a case for it being a little bit too soft. It looks like... Oh, I think there must be a Spirit Award, the Jim Steins Award, and Joel Selwood has won it. I'm not exactly sure what he's done in the community, but I'm actually surprised. I didn't expect him to win it. I didn't even know he was up for it, but fair play to him. And I think he cops a lot of unnecessary slander by a lot of people, especially on social media. He just cops an absolute crap ton. 95 was Carlton's last cup, yeah. Against Geelong, I think it was a 10-goal win. Kicked 22 goals on the day. Carlton were a very formidable side back then. And I have watched the game before. On tape, mind you. What a different era where stuff was getting taped. You couldn't watch it on demand. It was all taped. Joel Selwood, I do love when they're reading speeches. I love to analyze the hands, how much they're shaking, because then you really get an idea of how much public speaking they've done, how much training they've done. You would have expected Joel Selwood's done a fair portion of that in his time. He's been in front of the media for God knows how long, but you know, can see a little bit of shaking in there. So, I mean, understandably, there's a fuck ton of people in there, but you know, is what it is. I'm an avid Premier League supporter, and they change the rules every week. I follow the Prem. As soon as this is done, or not as soon as this is done, I need to watch Everton play this evening. That is who I follow. I do some Premier League content on this channel as well. And VAR is a farce, but we won't talk about that because that is not the content that you are here for tonight. I didn't like the Saturday Arvo because it was always delayed, but would have loved for it to have stuck around. Yeah, the delayed thing, I don't know what they were thinking with that, but Saturday afternoon footy on Channel 10 was the prime, it was prime viewing experience. VAR officiating is really bad. Well, it's tried to remove inconsistency, but it's actually added more to the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Joel Selwood made Geelong lose their TAC sponsor because of speeding. I'm not actually sure about that, but, you know, we'll do a little bit of searching. That is correct. The technology doesn't lie. The people using it stuff it up. It's all about adjudication, and if you complicate something, it just makes it harder on people, doesn't it? And you're bound to make mistakes. We're into round 12, though, at last. And the Bulldogs played Geelong. Melbourne lost to Sydney at the MCG. The Suns got up, unsurprisingly. Collingwood snatched the game at the end. Ollie Henry, good heroics there to get the game on their terms late, and they held on from there. Jai Newcomb, I think, could get 3 votes in that game, and then the Sydney game, Sydney-Melbourne, I mean, anyone could poll for Sydney there. Maxi Gawn will definitely get votes, though. I think he kicked 3 goals and had 30 touches in a game that they lost. And Fremantle beat Brisbane at home. And once again, another game that really proved that they are worthy of competing for a spot in finals, and they ultimately did that. Anyway, Jeremy Cameron has been exceptional polling votes. He's got 3 in this game, and that puts him, I believe, in the top 6. And I did not expect him to get this many votes. Rory Laird with 2, and Tex with 3. So the key forwards are getting involved here, which is good signs. Nick Dacos with a vote, Jai Newcomb with 2, and Darcy Cameron with 3 votes. He did have a good game there. Max Gawn with 3 votes, as expected. Callum Mills with 2. And Callum Mills is sort of around the mark of where you need to be at this time, given the circumstances of who's on top. Does Took get 3 votes? And he does, and he goes to 14, so he is equal 5th. And we'll see who gets the votes in this Freo Brisbane game. It's down to Brayshaw or Neil, and Brayshaw gets 3. So he's now on the same amount as Paddy Cripps. Mind you, he's played an extra game. I do believe Brisbane and Fremantle got the week off in the last week, and so did Oliver and Petrarca. So round 14, you will not see anyone besides Cripps play. So we go to round 13. And we've got Richmond, Port, Carlton beat Essendon. That game was so dead. Fremantle beat Hawthorn. Brisbane beat St Kilda. They dominated that one in the second half, I do remember. In the Queen's birthday game, Collingwood surprised a lot of people by beating Melbourne. That was sort of the start of the little divot for Melbourne, where they sort of fell off a little bit. I don't think Cripps is going to poll in the Essendon Carlton game. Trav Boak with a vote, Baker with 2 votes, and Carl Amon with 3 votes. That's really weird. In a losing effort, fair play to him. Tanner Bruin gets a vote. First votes in his career. Cornelio with 2. To go to 4, and Himmelberg gets 3, so he will probably rack a few up late. For Collingwood, Mason Cox got a vote. Oliver got 2, and Brody Myercheck with 3. So Oliver, a couple important votes there for him. Paddy Cripps gets another single vote. I didn't expect it, and Doc gets 3. So I reckon he should get about 10 or 12 at least. He had an exceptional year. Hawthorn, O'Meara with 1, Hayden Young with 2, and 3 votes to Andy Brayshaw. So he now goes top, and I think he could come home very strong. Did say before the count that, well, looks like Lachie Neale's got 2 votes there, so just like that, he's back on top. But did say before the count, you would not be an idiot to put money on Andy Brayshaw, and you could get some extreme winnings out of it. So we've got 2 up top that have gone a bit clear. Actually, you could say 4. Below Oliver, they're sort of starting to fall away a little bit. Petrarca with 15 next up. We can actually scroll down a little bit. You can see you got Took Miller with 14, Mills with 13, Cameron, Cully, Gawn, Wines, Crisp, Boak, Walsh, and Tex there. So, it's probably, I don't really know. I'd back Lachie Neale in at the moment, but Andy Brayshaw, consistent performer. It potentially could go his way by the end of it. He's a Kangaroo supporter, and it's been tough. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Kangaroo supporters, I hold a large level of sympathy. Clarkson, I think, will help dearly, but there's a lot of work to do, and you did need to clean the club out, or players that are just useless. You needed to clean those players out, and I feel like you still need to do that again, because you get rid of crap and then bring some in. Brayshaw is such a weird player, ranked 3rd a few seasons ago. Wrong. That's the other Brayshaw. Angus polled 3rd a few seasons ago. Yeah. Andy Brayshaw a couple seasons ago, I think it was in his rookie season, so I tell you what, it would have been an absolutely brilliant effort if you could poll 3rd in your rookie year. That's when you know you're the real deal. We got Griffin Logue. Potentially. Talks have been that, yeah, you probably will get him in for, he wants more opportunities. Yeah. So, it's just like, is Griffin Logue going to save you? He's a good complementary piece, but you wouldn't exactly rely on him to carry. He doesn't have to carry, mind you. He's got Zohar and Larky to help him out, but would he play key forward? Would he play back? He's played back. He's played forward. He's a good utility. Could play a little bit of ruck as well. I don't know how tall he is, but could be an option. At least he provides versatility. If you're down in the dumps in one position, you can sort of, drag him back or put him forward, and he may be able to make a difference. And he did that a couple times this year with Fremantle. So it's just better than before, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's kind of like a Caleb Daniel for the D's, and I don't know the comparison for the Blues. How did Oliver only get the 2 votes for a game? He got 41 disposals, a goal, and the Queen's Birthday Award. I need to see Brody Myercheck's performance. I need to see his performance in that game, because it must have been something serious if he nabbed 3 votes off Oliver in that specific fixture. Let's have a look. Round 13 versus Melbourne. Okay, it looks like we're back as well. Let me just go to the next round. Round 14. And we've got Richmond beating Carlton, somewhat controversially. Bulldogs Giants was a very, very high scoring game. Port Sydney, Essendon beat St Kilda. That was surprising, and that probably derailed their season. That was just the starting point of, their descent from the really good form they had to start the year. Mind you, they had a very, very tough run to the end of the year. But that was a game they needed to win, and they didn't. We're seeing some game winners here. From the season, Noah Anderson against Richmond. That game, don't understand how they won. We got the Jamie Elliott one against Essendon on the second meeting, which don't understand how the ball got to that end. But look, I thought Collingwood were stuffed in that game when I think it was Harry Jones had a shot directly in front of goal and he missed it, and then they didn't set up. And from there, it was a Carlton fan's worst nightmare. In that round 13 game, that Myercheck stole 3 votes from 41 touch Oliver. He had 16 touches, 10 marks, 4 goals. 4 goals. So he must have had a huge influence on the game in order to nab it. Because Oliver does get a 41 touch game, but you argue the impact needs to be greater. It needs to be, well, if they lost by 26 points, he mustn't have been doing much with that disposal. What app is he using? Not an app, it is the website. It is the website. 10 marks is huge. He must have been plucking everything out of midair. We've got the goal of the year also about to be announced. And we mentioned this earlier in the stream, but we've got Shea Bolton, who kicked on his left from the pocket. We've got Sam Draper's goal straight out of the ruck. Basically an individual effort, and then a check side running away from goal as the second one, and that's tough to beat given what he did. But the Dacos goal basically walked the tightrope the whole way along the wing and was able to just cut back inside and kick on the right. So, as I said earlier, I think Dacos will get it for the build-up, but Draper, purely because he's a bloody ruckman, he could get it. I don't even think Sammy Draper's there. Sam Draper got it. Yep. I think it's the ruckman factor. It's the wow factor. You don't expect a ruckman to do this. The sidestep, the fend off, and the snap, the class. I don't think he's ever had that much class in his whole playing career. He couldn't even kick a goal from 30 metres out. There was that one game against Adelaide. He couldn't even make the distance from 30 metres out. So, for him to kick a goal like that is just absolutely stupid. And we've got a video message. So I think it's all based on wow factor. I think Dacos was just nuts though, because he was able to paddle it forward and then knock it, sort of like bounce it up for himself. And that's incredibly hard to do, especially with the shape of the football. It can bounce in so many ways. So yeah, Draper's not there. He had a little bit of a pre-prepared speech. So he said that, and we now progress to round 14, potentially. And obviously you can see the current leaderboard. Lockie Neal's sitting on top comfortably. Not really. We did mention, though, the top 4 are pretty set in stone for the moment, but The likes of Petrarca, Took Miller, probably going to need to get a little bit of a wriggle on in the next couple of games. I don't back Petrarca, but Took Miller could have a strong end to the season. Richmond will get votes here. Paddy Cripps is not going to, so he'll stay put on 18. This is the game where Oliver, Petrarca, Neil and Brayshaw all don't poll. So the top is going to remain pretty much unchanged unless Cripper can get a 3-vote performance out of absolutely nowhere, which is not going to happen. Cody Waitman dislocated his elbow and then came straight back on 10 minutes later in that game and had an impact, but probably aggravated the injury. Anyway, we're getting into the votes and we commence proceedings with, well, you can see it on the screen right there. Toby Green with 3, McRae with 2, and Aaron Norton with 1. Amazingly enough, my live feed is slower than the AFL app. Not the AFL app, the AFL thing that you can see on your screen. Anyway, Cam Guthrie with 3 votes in that game, and he deserves a fair few votes. He probably is one of the most underrated players in the league. Carl Amon with 3, Ollie Wines with a vote, and Connor Rosie with 2. He will beef his poll tally up in the latter half of the season. Mason Redman with 3 votes. Gold Coast Adelaide. Rory Laird gets another 2 votes. And Noah Anderson with 3. So Took Miller, he's left a bit to be desired. Here we go. Sam Doherty with a vote. Paddy Cripps got 2 votes. And Dion Prestia with 3. He's had 4 3-vote games. I'm very surprised that Cripper polled in that. I don't remember him having that good of a game. Anyway, we move to round 15 and we're getting a little bit, we're moving a little bit quicker now. They haven't been very obsessed with the cutscenes recently. Had some good games here. Carlton Freo. I don't think Andy Brayshaw is going to get votes in that one. Melbourne Brisbane. Neil, Oliver, and Petrarca may take votes off each other. Geelong Richmond. That was an excellent game. I'm trying to think of other games that really matter. Gold Coast Port Adelaide. Took Miller, I think, had a pretty good match. But Port Adelaide ultimately did a number there and got the job done. And West Coast broke their losing streak that went on for God knows how long. So, round 15, here we go. And it will commence with the games that don't really concern the top. Bulldogs Hawthorn. Yep. Good choice. McRae gets a vote. Dunkley with 2. And 3 to Liberatore, who's got the Sunnies on. Don't exactly know why he's got them on. Willie Rioli with a vote. Dylan Schill and Kennedy. And you've also got Tom Papley with 3 votes in that win over the Saints, which was heavily convincing. They always seem to catch Papley at the times that he looks like he's in the shits. Fogarty, Dawson, and Tex with the votes for the Crows in the win over North. Texas 13 votes. Very good return. Very good return. Himmelberg with a couple. Sam Walsh got 3 votes in the win over Fremantle. That was the game where he did get 40. So that's understandable. And Charlie Kerner with a couple of votes as well. It's going to get interesting with this Melbourne-Brisbane game. The top of the table hasn't really moved for quite a while. Here we go. And no one at the top got votes. It was Viney, Jackson, and Lever. And then Tyson Stengel with the 3 votes in the Geelong win over Richmond. So, Liam Baker, Richmond fans or Richmond players are getting around him. Obviously, his first Brownlow at the actual joint. Rosie with a vote, Took with 2, and Carl Amon with 3. So, Took goes into 5th, And the top of the table remains heavily unchanged for probably the last 3 weeks of the season. And I tell you what, someone really needed to take the opportunity to bounce ahead. And they haven't really done that. So it's going to be a very tense finish. We've got Neil on top and Brayshaw and Cripps tied for equal second. And that Brisbane-Melbourne game, I mean, I'm amazed that Oliver, Neil, Petrarca, none of them didn't get any or got any votes in that one. So we'll just move forward to the next round and see who is who's up for grabs on votes. And Cripper's not getting votes. Neil potentially is getting votes. Callum Mills isn't getting votes. Melbourne, I think. Oh yeah, Clayton Oliver, bro, he had a big game there against the Crows. I really want to see his stats. I think he could be a smoky from here. He's only three. I mean, he's only 3 votes behind top, but I mean, he's just a stat getter, you know. Racks him up. So round 16. He had 36 touches, 13 tackles, and kicked a goal. He's getting 3 votes unanimously. Pies beat the Suns by 5. Took Miller. Dunno. And then Fremantle Port. I think Brayshaw could be poised for votes. I do want to see Andy Brayshaw's stats as well. Let's have a look. All right. I have not looked at the chat for a while. Probably need to do that. Miller to win the Brownlow. I think he's too far back. And I think there's just too many other competitors. What round are you in? We are in round... What round? 16. 16? 16. Yeah. 15 rounds have been completed in what is probably the longest awards ceremony in the entire world for a professional sports league. At least that's what it feels like. Andy Brayshaw in this game got 27 touches, 11 tackles, and kicked a goal as well. So, and that's all in a win. So that could be a little bit of a worry. I think I'm going to get up like everyone's stats now. Just to, you know, refresh the memory and sort of provide a little bit of perspective on who seems like they're going to be poised to get votes. Round 16, St Kilda. Cripps had 31 touches and 1 tackle. He is not getting votes. He had 21 handballs as well. He's not getting votes. Clayton Oliver, round... Yeah, we already covered him. Lockie Neal. I'm probably only going to be looking at those 4. And maybe Took as well. Because I think who we've got up top is probably who's going to be most likely. And we really flagged that. The pundits, the bookies, also flagged that prior to the count. Took Miller round 16, got 31. 10 tackles and a goal. So he could poll. And Lockie Neal got, in round 16, against the Bulldogs, 33 touches, 6 marks, 7 tackles, 1 goal. So odds are he's probably polled as well. So I think we could see a bit of movement, a bit of gains. If you are enjoying the stream, make sure to show your support in more ways than one. Like and subscribe. We've got some film analysis coming this week in the lead up to the grand final, along with my weekly predictions video that should arrive on Wednesday or Thursday. So make sure to hang around. Stay tuned for that. I'm very happy that you have all rocked up. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are on the planet. So, good vibes. Good vibes only here. And it's great to see bit of activity in the chat as well. Don't be afraid to say hello. I am looking periodically at the chat. So, yeah. Geelong by 49 points, you reckon? I think it'll be closer than that, but I do think Geelong are going to run over the top. I think it could be close for a couple quarters, and I think Geelong may just get that edge in the second half. They'll kick clear, probably 3 or 4 goals they'll have as an advantage in the second half, and I think that'll get the job done for them. I don't think it's going to be an 8-goal win, though. I don't think they're separated by 8 goals. That's just my opinion, though. I'm very happy to hear your opinions. Love to hear if anyone in the chat right now thinks Sydney will get up. And if you think Sydney will get up, I would love to know why. And we can start a conversation about that. Because, you're a bold person if you're picking Sydney, I think. And all signs point towards Geelong getting up. But if you think Sydney will get up, I ain't judging. And I think you've got guts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Swannies for the granny. Buddy doesn't have Hodgie this time to kiss him. Mate. Unfortunately not. In all seriousness, if you have a reason for the Swans to win, I'd love to hear it. You're probably scraping the bottom of the barrel. I think Geelong just don't have a flaw. Speaking of which, inversely, if you think Geelong have a flaw that Sydney can exploit, put that in the chat as well. I think Swans will win if they apply that same pressure at the start of the game they did with Collingwood. Here's the issue. In my film study, I will be looking at, or I plan to look at, the pressure drop-off. Geelong's pressure was sustained the whole way through. The whole way. Even when the game was gone and they had that one sealed, they looked scary. And they just were running in waves. Yeah. They were just running in waves and it was pretty overwhelming by the looks. I mean, Brisbane obviously did a very good job to get to where they got to, but Geelong just a far better side. Sydney, it's a big ground, and obviously they play on the SCG. If they got tired out, we've got a nice little Gill. Bro, it looks like Gill died or something with the tribute. Because they had 2014 to 2022 with one of those photos you see when someone dies and you've got like a memorial tribute. I mean, I love the, what is it? The intent. But it could be taken a bit differently. What were we saying though? Yeah, Geelong would have to shit themselves for that to happen. Yeah, they just seem like a very composed outfit, and they seemed always in control against Brisbane. And Sydney, I think, well, it's so tough. It's so tough, but Geelong, I mean, they just sustained it the whole way through, and Sydney really looked like they were gassed on a really, like, a small ground in comparison to the G. So there's no knowing whether their fitness and stamina will hold up to the last quarter, where Geelong just seemed like, they're well drilled. They know exactly what they're doing. Geelong went into the granny with force, and Sydney just survived. That's what I'm saying. Sydney basically in the second half did everything that you can't do against Geelong. And we mentioned this earlier in the stream. Geelong did to Brisbane in the second half what Collingwood did to Sydney in the second half. The exact same thing. You can see the parallels. It's unbelievable. So, yeah. It's a little bit of a red flag. I feel like Sydney are more offensively minded than defensively minded, and that could cost them in the end because Geelong's backline is so good. And if Sydney can't defend for their life, they're in trouble. But we've now got round... what round is this? Round 16. Finally. They were done with the cutscenes again. Good to hear. It looks like we're going to be primed for probably a 10:30 finish, or 10:15, usually. I think it could be very close to us just going with the run home from here, and not really having too many distractions. I will get the chat up on my other screen because that'll really help in reading the comments. If I just move my headset a little bit. Here we go. Round 16 coming up. And it commences with Essendon and Sydney. Another game that isn't very Brownlow relevant. Chad Warner with a couple votes. Zachy Merritt with 3. Cam Guthrie gets a vote. Deservedly. Hawkins with 2. And Jeremy Cameron is now in the top 5. Equal 5th. Nathan Broad gets a vote. Marlon Pickett, 2 votes. Tim Kelly, 3 votes. It's been a long, long time since West Coast polled, apart from that Essendon game they won. Tom Mitchell with a vote, Taranto with a couple, and Callum Brown, the Irishman, who kicked a few goals in that game, in that wet match, kicked a couple there. Crows to make the 8 next year is my big call. It's not a bad call, but they always feel like they're in a holding pattern. Brayshaw did not poll against Port Adelaide, and Cripps will not poll against St Kilda. Jack Sinclair takes all 3 votes there. And who else we got? Gold Coast Collingwood. Rankin with a vote. Miller with 2 votes, so he goes into 4th. And Dacos with 3 votes, so he goes to 7. Good work by the Mans. Petrarca and Oliver poll for Melbourne. So that now crams the top a little bit more, leaving 1 game to play, which is Lockie Neal's match against the Bulldogs. And odds are he's probably getting votes. Here we go. Charlie got 2 and 3 votes to Lockie Neal. So he's now got a game. He's gone a game clear. And that isn't a good sign for the rest of the playing field. We advance to round 17. Reaching the pointy end of the season now. There's more teams in that window than the Crows. There is. And I don't think there's enough places for the Crows to wedge themselves in the top 8. It's going to be extremely tough for them. Extremely tough. Yeah, I just feel like they're still missing a couple pieces that'll really put them up there with the big boys. Carlton beat the Eagles, and Paddy Cripps, he had a pretty bad first half, and then he stat padded at the end. Hang on, we're trying to... Damn it, dude. Okay, we're into round 17. Here we go. Mitch Lewis, Rory Laird with another 2 votes. He keeps getting the 2 votes. Can't get the perfect. CJ with 3. GWS kicked 29 points in this game, so you wouldn't expect a score. And Rosie gets 2 again. And Pau Pepper with 8 votes total now. Nikolaki with a single. Josh Dacos with a couple. And you've also got Davies Uniacke with 3. I thought he was going to get more votes, LDU. Cam Guthrie with a couple votes. So no Oliver and no Petrarca. Oliver's going to be out for a week as well with that hand injury that he sustained in this game. Papley with a vote, Heaney with a couple, and Callum Mills has been really quiet, but actually, no, he hasn't. He's got 16 votes. He's really been swept under the rug here. Took Miller with a single vote. That puts him up. Noah Anderson with 3 votes. So, Brisbane, okay. Lockie Neal, I don't know if he was playing this game, but he won't poll either. And that leaves the Brayshaw game and the Paddy Cripps game. He gets a vote, so he puts himself within a game's reach, and Harry Mackay with the 3 votes in that one. Fremantle St Kilda, Jordan Clark, Will Brodie, and Andy Brayshaw. So we've got 1 vote separating first and second. And yeah, that's where we're at. My voice is starting to go, so I think the voice cracks are going to be more prominent. Here's a bold take. Power will finish higher than the Crows next year. I don't even think that's a bold take. I think Power had a down year. They started pretty slowly. If they had a better start to the year, they're potentially finishing top 8. I just think all season Power were inconsistent and were missing players. Rosie looked good at midfield. They need to put him there full time. Then I'm not sure if Kenny has got it still. He probably has, but I don't know. I think it's more a playing issue and a personnel type thing. It felt like at times the forward dynamic didn't work. They didn't have Scott Lysette for half the season, so Sam Hayes. I mean, they played Finlayson in ruck. You train with your best ruckman. You don't train your best midfielders with your second ruckman, your third ruckman, and your forward that plays part-time in the ruck. So I think once they get Lysette back, that could help. And sometimes their backline just felt a bit weird. North for the spoon. If that's a bold call, I would say it's a bold call. I think it's a bold call. I think they can do better than the spoon. I don't know what the standard is. Well, they can't do any worse than the spoon. I think they'll get improvement. It really depends what they do in the off-season, but I mean, I don't know if this is a roast or anything, but 18th to 17th, potentially? That's improvement, is it not? It's nothing on North Melbourne, but I don't know. If you look at the bottom half of teams, Essendon are going to do better, I think. Well, they've got to get a senior coach in first. GWS new coach, not sure what that's going to bring. Senior assistants, well, we saw with Craig McRae what a good hire does to your team. And if the boys support the coach, what it can do to the morale of the team. So if GWS get that environment and culture going, they could ascend after a really down year. The Crows, I feel like they're just going to be amongst that really mediocre part of the table again. Hawthorn, I think they're still in the rebuilding phase. You don't blame them if they don't make finals, or you want to see improvement, but I don't think they're going to go do bits next year. And then the Eagles, I'm not sure, because they had a lot of injuries, and they did the whole season. It stayed the same the whole year. GWS 17th, I do think you lose Jacob Hopper, you lose Taranto, you lose Tanner Bruin. Mind you, Tanner Bruin was fringe. If those guys go, then yeah, your midfield's decimated and you probably go to the draft. Mind you, they've got, I think Finn Callahan didn't get a lot of game time for GWS because of injury. But if he gets a full run at it, he could be a really good player. He's a really tall, big-bodied mid that didn't get too much game time in the guts where he was, where he played on his way up to the AFL. I think the spoon won't be the usual spoon next year, not like the past years where the wooden spooners will be playing crap footy and going nowhere. All of the bottom 6 are rebuilding and looking to play good football. That's a pretty good shout, I would say. It's a really tough call to say, to be honest. But I think there's probably 4 teams. I don't think there's 6 teams that contend for or go towards the bottom, or like are in contention for the spoon. I think there's maybe 3 or 4. I don't know about the Eagles. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were this year. Like, you look at the extent of their injury list and how many games they lost to injury. Like, you look at the experience, and it would have to be nuts. Like, Luke Shuey, Elliot Yeo, Oscar Allen's a good player. Their first round pick, Campbell Chesser. I don't really know what type of player he is, but he would be nice to, lodge into the team. Anyway, we've got to move. Round 18's happening. I'm slacking a little bit. Round 18. So we've got Bulldogs, St Kilda, Collingwood, Adelaide, Brisbane, GWS, North Richmond, Geelong, Carlton. Cripper is not polling. Jeremy Cameron could poll again. Sydney, Fremantle. That's when Sydney came from behind at halftime. Hawthorn, West Coast. Melbourne beat Port in Alice Springs, and I think Cozzy Pickett will poll there, and potentially Bailey Fritsch. And Essendon, Gold Coast. Well, I don't think Took Miller is polling in this game. So, Lockie Neal potentially could be going again. What round are we in now? We're in round 18. It was like a public surgery list, pretty much. Okay, so we can see North Melbourne absolutely wiped the slate clean. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but they've taken all honours for their win over Richmond in a game that probably should have never resulted that way. Tex got another vote. Pendlebury voted, and Nick Dacos with 3 votes. He's in double digits. Pendles is getting excited, potentially under the influence of alcohol. You don't blame him. John Newcomb with a couple votes, and he goes to 9 in his second year. Major improver. Bailey Smith with a vote. Libba with 2 and 3 votes to the Bonds, who's only got 7. Only 7 votes. And then we got Dylan Shield, Mason Redman with a couple. That was the highlight of our season, beating Richmond. Thanks a lot for that. I got major enjoyment out of that. Petrarca got a vote. No votes for Oliver. And as expected, Cozzy Pickett with 3. And we advance to the games that really matter. Carlton Geelong first up. And Sam Walsh gets a vote. Joel Selwood with 2. First votes of the night. And Zach Tui against his former club with 3. Callum Mills with a couple votes. He has snuck up into the upper portion. He's still not good enough to be in the top 6. And it looks like Reece Matheson has nabbed votes from Lockie Neal. Why is Matheson at the count? Mate. That's hilarious, though. If Lockie Neal loses the count because Reece Matheson got 2 votes in that random game against GWS, Neal got 26 in that game. 26 touches and 5 marks. So probably not the biggest, eye-catching performance. We've got round 19 now by the looks. And we're really accelerating to the finish now. They need to get this done by everyone's bedtime, which is 10:15. Anyway. We move forward. Okay. Jamara's going to get votes in this game, you would think. The Bulldogs-Melbourne game. Fremantle-Richmond played out as a draw. We're getting into some games that I'm more familiar with because of, obviously, recency. We're heading into the final month after this round, and you would expect there's going to be no interruptions after that. So we're probably getting one more break after this round before the run home. And Zach Merritt's got 3 votes in the game against the Pies that was decided after the siren. Sammy Draper with a vote as well in that, which is interesting. Man, I thought Brad Crouch was a little bit more worthy of votes. 7 votes in the whole season. Maxi Gorn with a vote. Jamara with a couple. Here we go. 3 votes to the Bonts. So no votes for Petrarca or Oliver. And the Geelong game, you can see there, Carl Amon with 3 votes. I swear he wasn't that good this season. And he still got 13 Brownlow votes. And usually the wingers don't get shown that much love. He's gotten a fair bit, and Langdon at the start of the year got a few. North Melbourne Hawthorn, this one doesn't really matter at all. Tommy Mitchell with 2 votes to send him to 8, and Jack Gunston with 3. Potentially, his only votes for the club. And his last, maybe. Parker and Warner get votes here. Brisbane Gold Coast, here we go. Big game, McCluggage with 1. Alice with 2. And Took with 3. So that means that Neil is just holding on. Only just. Here we go. Next game, Carlton GWS. Paddy Cripps gets 2. 2 votes, and he goes into equal second now. It's going to go down to the wire, I think. I don't think we're going to have a similar return that Ollie Wines got with the 36 votes, but I think we could have a couple, like 3, 4, maybe 5, between 33 to 35 vote, or 33 to 30 votes. Brayshaw got a vote, so we now have a joint leaders on top of the table at 24, and Paddy Cripps is second. Took Miller has just burst onto the scene with a late game run. It's anyone's game. You still, even if you put money on it now, you have a good chance of getting it wrong. I do want to hear from the 39 people in chat as of now. Who is winning? Who is winning? Bold predictions. Bold predictions. It's going to be tough. Very tough to pick. You're a psychic if you can get this right. Round 20, we'll see Melbourne play Fremantle, and you wouldn't expect Brayshaw to poll in that game. Brisbane got Richmond, and I don't remember if Neil got tagged, but you probably would have expected a little bit of attention. Still backing Neil in. It's a fair call. Obviously, he's on top, so it's a tough one. It's really tough. Obviously, Cripper is not polling against the Crows. Took against the Eagles. That could potentially be 3 votes. Let's have a look. Am I going to have time? No. They're just accelerating to the finish. Accelerating. The fog. I mean, Carlton probably had a record for the most tackles broken. Sorry. The most unsuccessful tackles in that game. We were just atrocious on that behalf. Here we go. Round 20. Round 20. 1 month of the season remaining. And you can see there Tommy Mitchell with a vote. You can see Cam Guthrie with 2 votes. And you can see Dunkley with a vote. So we are reaching the pointy end of the season, and these games don't count for nothing. Next game, Sydney GWS, another game no one cares about. Callum Mills does not poll, so he's had a very good count, Callum Mills. Connor Rosie with a couple. Bro, Zach Merritt's been a very quiet achiever in this Brownlow count. 17 votes and only 7 off the top. And given Essendon's season, that's fairly surprising. Brisbane Richmond, here we go. Kadeem Coleman with a vote. Tommy Lynch with a couple. And 3 votes to Shea Bolton. Dion Presti has dyed his hair, and I'm not a fan. Here we go. Fremantle, Melbourne. Fair to say that there should be 1 or 2 of the players on the leaderboard. Yep, Brayshaw's got 1. In a losing effort, I'm surprised. That could be a big vote. Petrarca's got 2, and here we go. Oliver to get 3. Here we go. Oh, Jackie Viney with 3. And he could steal a few at the end because he had a really good end to the season. Took Miller has gotten 3 votes, and he's now on top. So the 2 guys that were going in at $8 and $9 are both sharing top spot now. And now it gets really interesting. Crows Carlton, this one is just, simply put, so easy to pick. Cripper did not have a good game. Benny Keys with 2 votes for that. Defensive effort on Adam Saad. Wait, what? He got 3! What? What type of game did he have? What type of game did he... Oh, yeah, he had 41 touches, 6 tackles. I forgot how good he was in that game. He carried us on his back. And he's now on top. Could get very, very interesting. Okay, we've got 3 rounds, and they are going to prolong this for as long as possible. So as you can see, we got Cripper, we got Brayshaw, Took, Lockie, Neal, Petrarca, Oliver, and Mills. Basically, that is the bunch that can catch. That's going to be the bunch that need to dig in. Callum Mills, I think, is... Well, he can't get it. So it's now this lot. Any votes... Okay, so Clayton Oliver needs to poll next game. Petrarca needs to poll. I didn't think Petrarca had a better season than Oliver. At the moment, that's what it's posing as. It's going to come down to these 4, isn't it? Petrarca, Neal, Miller, Brayshaw, Cripps. And we'll have a look. Took Miller's round 21 performance. He's not going to get votes. He had 21 touches and 10 tackles. Cripper, round 21, had 24 touches and 7 tackles and a goal. He's not going to get it because Brisbane got... Well, they cooked us. Oliver, round 21, had 42 touches, 3 marks, and 8 tackles. So you would probably back him to get votes. Bulldogs. Andy Brayshaw, round 21, got 21 touches, 8 marks, or 8 tackles and 6 marks with a goal. I don't think he's going to poll either. If he does, I'll be incredibly surprised. So this is an opportunity for Cripper. Last 2 games of the season could get a few votes in there. He could crack 30. It's just a matter of whether Took and Brayshaw get it done. I think Cripper will probably poll 2 or 3 in the last game, and that could... Well, that'll help him dearly. Took's run at the end, he had a 36 touch performance against Geelong, and I don't think he'll get it in round 23. Oliver had a 29 touch performance against Carlton and a 30 touch performance against Brisbane in a game that they flogged them, so they could be taking points off each other. Jack Viney, cough cough. Brayshaw's end to the season is not good. He had 22 touches against West Coast and 25 against GWS. So I think Brayshaw could be ruled out here. Very quiet end to the season. I don't think he'll poll again. And if he does, maybe 1 vote. Lockie Neal. He had 32 touches against Carlton and a goal. And then he played St Kilda the following week and had 16 touches. He's not going to get votes there. And then the last week, 29 touches against Melbourne. The last round of the season is going to be hectic. Cripper is in a very good spot to win this. Very, very good spot. And yeah, if you look at it statistically, you rule Brayshaw out. Took Miller got tagged in a game, by the looks. The one just arriving now. Oliver, I reckon if there's one player that's going to catch him, it's going to be Oliver. And he's 5 votes behind, 6 votes behind, which is going to be tough to make up. Brayshaw, I don't think will poll, and Lockie Neal will poll against Melbourne and Carlton, potentially. But the Melbourne game's an interesting one because Oliver and Petrarca also are playing the same game. Anyway, we are getting to the pointy end. Here we go. So we've got... Jesus Christ, this is going to get really tense. We're closing in on the end of what has been a Brownlow night marred with so many, not ad breaks. What am I talking about? Ad breaks. So many cutscenes. Shame we lost the last two. If we're talking Carlton, then yes, we lost the last two, but Cripper played a good enough performance in round 23, and round 22, I think he could nab one. Anyway, there's some very applicable games in the last couple weeks. You've got the Brisbane Carlton game. Neil's obviously playing in that one. And he could easily poll. Brayshaw didn't have a good game against the Dogs. Took got tagged against the Hawks. Callum Mills could get 3 votes and then just push himself up there. But for a late run. But here we go. The Crows and the Eagles. Laird's got another 2 votes. He just keeps on polling. And Josh Kennedy got 3 votes in his last game for the club, where he kicked, I think, 8. Nick Larkey with a vote. Luke Parker with 2. And Chad Warner with 3. That's a good return for him. Crouch. Maxi Holmes with 2 votes. First of his career. And Isaac Smith with 3. Here we go. Port Richmond. Cochin. Bolton. And Nankervis with 3 votes. Oh boy, it's gonna go down to the wire. You can see GWS have wiped their game. So we're getting to the next 4 are applicable. The Bulldogs Freo game, Brayshaw's not polling. Probably Will Brodie. Brayshaw's not polling. Yep, Luke Ryan's got it. Anything could happen. The umpires have no clue most of the time about who should poll. I'm just looking at stats, and I can see a couple tags on there in the last 3 weeks of the season, and a lot of games where you could potentially nab votes off someone you're competing against at the top, you know? So Took Miller did not progress because he got tagged. And it looks like no votes for Melbourne. Clayton Oliver got 3 votes, unsurprisingly, because those 42 touches came in. So he moves closer. Brisbane Carlton. Lockie Neal gets the 3 votes. Oh no. Unsurprisingly though, I thought he would be a chance to get 2. Alrighty. And we now go to round 22. They're moving too fast for me. And I feel like I've got delay. So I'm going to be spoiled by like a second. I've got to not look. I think I'm going to ignore my OBS feed, because that's giving me the update. Okay. So now I'm not going to get spoiled. Okay. Second last round. Here we go. Come on. Okay. This is so tense. I'm not looking at chat. I'm not looking at the votes. Here we go. I'm not looking at my OBS feed. Here we go. Neil out in front. Cripps. And then Brayshaw and Miller. All separated by 2 votes. Sydney Collingwood. I want to hear the end for the novelty. Callum Mills with 3 votes. Zach Butters with 3 votes. I don't know if you can hear it, but potentially. LDU with 3 votes. Okay. That's a game that's not applicable. Okay, we're getting to the games that matter. Oh, this is just too tense for me. I think a winner will probably be 30 votes. That's all you're going to need. Brayshaw's not polling again. He's not getting it. Sean Darcy with the 3 votes. Brayshaw's done, mate. He's cooked. He had 3 bad performances at the end. Melksham with the vote. Oh my god, Doc got 2 votes. And Gus with 3 votes. So no Oliver, Petrarca, or Cripps in the votes for the Carlton-Melbourne game. Here we go. Brisbane, St Kilda. This could ice it if Neil gets it. Here we go. Cam Rayner got the 3 votes. So we're going down to the last round. Never mind. We've got Gold Coast and Took Miller. Took Miller's tied it. He's tied it. Oh. Here we go. We've got 1 round remaining. And the top 3 or 4 are separated by 2 votes. I can't recall the last time we've had a Brownlow decided in the last round with this many in contention. With this many in contention. Here we go. The last round. Round 23. Could we have a 3-way tie? Could we have a 3-way tie? I keep getting WhatsApp notifications and it's pissing me off because I'm going to get spoiled here. I'm going to get spoiled. So Cripps needs 3 votes. And this is where the bias comes in. I'm going to get spoiled by my WhatsApp group, which is just going to be a little bit jarring. Here we go. If you're enjoying the stream and have enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe. We've got some AFL content ahead for the grand final in this upcoming week and beyond. Anyway, we've got 1 round to play. Brisbane got smoked, and I don't think Neil is polling. Took had a bit of a stinker against North. Cripper had a huge 35 touch game. Oliver had 30 touches. Who else? 25 touches for Brayshaw, and Lockie Neal had 29 against the D's. But Oliver had 30. I mean, Oliver's got to take the 3 votes from Neil, you'd think. Oliver can't win it, but there's 4 in contention. Here we go. Here we go. Gillen, stop with the suspense. Oh, great. We're going Hawthorn Bulldogs to begin this. Here we go. I'm closing my eyes to avoid all spoilers. Okay. Okay, Port versus Adelaide. This is all G. Here we go. Rosie with 3 votes. Geelong West Coast. This game doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, Blitzovs and Cameron have had good runs. Here we go. Dan Hanbury with 3 votes in his final game against his former club. Here we go. The big games are coming up now. He's not polling. David Mundy, last game, got votes. He's not getting it, Brayshaw. Caleb Sarong with the 3 votes. So Brayshaw is out of the running. North Melbourne, Gold Coast. Alex Sexton with the vote. Noah Anderson with 2. David Swallow with 3. So that means we've got a tie. It's going to come down to the final 2. Carlton, Collingwood, Brisbane, Melbourne. Oh my word. They're doing the Brisbane game first. So Neil's in front. He gets a vote. He's in front. Oliver got 2. And Petrarca got 3 votes. Here we go. Carlton, Collingwood. Cripps needs 2 votes. To tie, 3 to win. I'm not looking at the screen. Here we go. Oh no, Chera's got 2. Cripps needs 3. Carlton. He's got it! He won! He won! He won! Cripper! Last game of the year. He's got it! What? How? How did he do that? How did he do that? Bro! Are you serious? Oh my word. I'm not well, I am shaking. It's going to become so controversial now because he should have gotten suspended. Oh, mate, that's ridiculous. The suspense. I don't think I've ever felt suspense like that. Ever. In a Brownlow Medal Count. It's never gone down to the wire like that. He stole it at the last second, and it is now kicking off in my WhatsApp group chat. Mate. How was he nabbed it at the end? It was so hard to avoid spoilers. I had to shut my eyes, look away from all screens and everything. Bro. Oh, unbelievable. Jesus. Bro, how has he done that? I knew he would be up there, but how has he won? I thought his second half of the season was going to be shitty. He stole it at the end. What a guy. What a lad, mates. I mean, the performance that did it all. Hang on. Let's put this shitty volume down for the chairman. No one wants to hear you. The last performance. The performance that decided it all. 35 touches, 5 tackles. And probably more impact on the game than the stats would indicate. I have no idea how he's done it. Cripps had no one to steal votes, really. I mean, Sam Walsh got 13 and Charlie got 10, so it's not like he was a one-man show. He was a standout player, though, especially in the first half of the year. It's unbelievable. I have absolutely no idea how he's done this, though. If we just look, let's just have a quick scroll through. Cripps, Neil took Brayshaw, Oliver, Petrarca, Mills, Prestia. Prestia did well. 19 votes. And I thought he was out for longer. Parker, Amon, Dunkley. Damn. But, bro, I can't be asked, bro. He had a pretty dry run in the second half of the season. You can see there. He went missing on... After the bye, only polled in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 11. And still was able to get it done. And there was only 3 vote games in that. Petrarca and Viney took Oliver votes. Yeah. That's where it happened, mate. That is exactly where it happened. Oh, this is unbelievable, though. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Mate, I'm sort of baffed. I mean, if you put money on Cripps, fair play to you. I would have sure as hell not predicted it. Oh, Crip, I can already see he's getting fairly emotional and reminiscent. Obviously, it's understandable. I mean, the guy, well, wouldn't have known until like 5 minutes ago he was going to win it all. So, Paul's joined the chat and said rigged garbage. Mate, I'm loving the opinion. I'm loving the take. But I can't say it's rigged. The only thing I could say is he should have gotten suspended, which I would actually say he should have been suspended. And whilst he didn't do enough to make finals, the fact he's won the most prestigious award in the whole of the AFL is arguably more funnier. Gee, that voice crack was ugly. Yeah, so I mean, we got a Brownlow since my boy Chris Judd at in 2010, all those years ago, 12 years ago. Valiant effort. Didn't, as I said, I'm just in shock. The count is done now, though. I think we'll just let the I think we're going to be here for a while if Cripps is talking. We'll probably just listen to Cripps's talk and then we'll wrap things up because I think this has been a pretty good stream. If you are enjoying the stream, have enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe. We'll get on to things for the grand final very, very soon. And I hope you are able to tune in for all of that stuff. I think we're close to 450 if we aren't there already, subscriber-wise. So it'd be great if we could get there, if we aren't already. No final success since then. Blues have to be back there next year. There is absolutely zero excuse. Absolutely zero. But I tell you what, best Brownlow count in years. Usually there's some runaway, and usually in the last game of the season, you've got like a 2-3 vote buffer, and the game that you get like 1 or 2 votes seals the deal. But Cripps was behind 2 votes, and it was either you get 1 or lower and you lose, you get 2 and you tie, or you get 3 and you have the honour by yourself. You get all the bragging rights, and yeah, it's he got the maximum. I think the saving grace was A, Melbourne flogging Brisbane, and B, Melbourne playing Brisbane. Because I think if Lachie Neale played any other opponent, he's probably getting the 3 votes, or at least an extra couple that he needs. Oh, mate. Great vibes, though. Great vibes. If you're a Carlton supporter. If you're any other supporter, you're being the shits, mate. Nuts. I mean, put in the chat who you think was the one that surprised you, poll wise. Um, yeah. Who surprised you poll wise? Who did you think was going to get less votes? Someone that you just completely forgot existed and polled well. You can see on the screen Carl Amon getting 15, Dion Prestia getting 19, Lynch getting 14. I think Lynch was going to get some votes, but didn't think 14. Noah Anderson 14. I thought he would get a little bit more, but obviously took stealing the votes there. Connor Rosie with 14. I thought he'd get a little bit more. Probably Mills. I mean, Mills was a pretty favourable selection with the bookies, and he finished 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Dion Prestia, Jeremy Cameron, 19 votes. That's a real surprise. And as you go down the list, it gets a little bit less so surprising. Dunkley is the pick of the Bulldogs players. That was a bit interesting because I don't think Dunkley was excellent this year. He had a couple really good games and then just sort of trailed off in others and was a bit inconsistent like his team had performed across the course of the year. But yeah, it's nuts though. Oh man, I'm not lost for words, but I'm still confused. I mean, I do want to see. I urge you, as followers of the sport, you need to go on Twitter right now, search up the name Patrick Cripps, and see all the butthurt fans, or see all the or see all the happy Carlton supporters and stuff. You know, that's nuts. I love how the AFL has pronounced the winner, and the first comment is a Collingwood supporter saying should have been ineligible and missed the last 2 games. You literally beat us by a point to get us out of finals. I would be pretty happy with that if I were you. Not a surprise, Cameron is dominant this year. He could have gotten a vote every round, I'd say. It's a fair call, but I don't think 19 votes. I don't think he had a 19 vote season. You look at someone like Noah Anderson, I thought he had a pretty big influence on games and only got 14, you know? But like players like Carl Amon getting 15, that's more surprising to me. But what a count though, eh? What a count. Hold on. A lot of people are getting triggered over Lachie Neale not polling against Gold Coast. Yeah. Interesting. Someone said asterisk Brownlow won off a legal technicality. That could also be debated as well. Don't forget to sub before leaving. Great job. Thank you very much for the support. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. If you are tuning out, we will be here a little bit longer. I'm just watching the end of the Paddy Cripps conference, and then we will wrap things up here. It's been a very good stream, I'd have to say. We've been here for over 3 hours, so it's been a bit of a marathon, a bit of an arm wrestle. Not an arm wrestle. What am I talking about? It's not a fucking game of football, but you can't really escape that reality, though. Should have been suspended, and in your opinion, how would the Blues have gone without Cripper for the last 2 games? Game against Melbourne probably would have... Well, I don't think the games would have been as close, and we would have lost both times, but, I mean, we lost anyway. So we ultimately would have had the same result with or without him. In reality, I will admit, though, I'm happily admitting, I'm open to admit, he should have been suspended. You know, it's not up for debate. It's just, it is what it is. You know, there's nothing more I can really say. It's just, it's reality that he should have been suspended, but it's also reality he didn't. and we can say he should have done this. The AFL should have come to this decision, but ultimately he ended up playing the last two games. He's now won this Brownlow. It doesn't feel right to say Paddy Cripps has won a Brownlow, but it isn't his fault. He's just merely it's his fault for cleaning someone up, but it is not his fault for the decision that was as a result of that, you know? So it's nothing he can control at all. But yeah. Anyway, I think he's done. No, he's not. He's still going. Mate. Mate, Hamish loves a good conversation. Big Hamish McLaughlin. I'm not a very big fan of his calling. He's good with, like, interviews and stuff, but that gives him one up against Petrarca, or is that just a silly debate now? I need to go back. Whoops, not that. That's actually nuts, though. If you think about Cripps, he was not, like, people didn't really know about him, and Carlton took a flyer and got him in, and look what he's been able to achieve. You know what I'm saying? He was the 13th pick, and fucking what's his name, Ben Lennon, who no longer plays football, he's an NFL punter. He was picked ahead of him by Richmond, so they'll be kicking themselves for that. I think Neil deserved it, but Cripps is good. Neil, I think had an all-round better season, but I think Cripps, had, like, moments where he just, like, dominant patches, and I think, well, that's ultimately what got him over the line, isn't it? That should be all. Yeah, you just look at the start of the year. In the first 8 weeks of the season, he had 5 3-vote games, and the 2 games he didn't poll in were games that he missed to injury. So if he's playing those games, he's going to be ahead even more. But it's a bit of a, like, an interesting feeling, because obviously lost that game, didn't make finals, but that ultimately was the game that decided the 3 votes and the win. Adam Cherry with a couple of votes there. He polled in the first game and the last game of the season. I think Richmond will be alright getting away with that Lennon pick. Good dynasty they've had. I mean, yeah, of course. But the more the merrier, am I right? I think we're going to be nearly wrapping up here. We won't be long. So stick around just so I can end things off. For God's sake, Cripper. No, get Hamish. Fucking wrap it up. Everyone needs to go to bed. We need to go to bed. Well, I'm not going to bed. I'm watching Premier League, but I'll just watch this recap later, to be honest. Watch it in full, watch it more in depth. I think now, can you say it's a pass mark for Carlton? I mean, we didn't make the finals, but we got a Brownlow medalist. And, well, last year, what happened? Last year, I think he polled 20... What did he poll last year? Well, we can actually have a look at that on the thingo. If I just go to the 2021 season. Oh, no, he didn't get many votes because he would have been... Yeah, he's right down here somewhere. I don't even know where he is. Sammy Walsh got 30 last year, so... Yeah. But we'll go back to the season that now matters. Still not a pass. That's not good enough being in the 8 all season. I just think, from a Carlton fan perspective, it's sort of soft. Well, for me, it softens the pain a little bit that we've... Well, one of the players that had, for so many years, has had to put his team on his back. It's finally he's finally got something to show for it. Being the best player in the league, finally his team's come good, and I think that's what would have been the case if our team was good many years earlier. He would have had a lot more opportunities to poll high in so many Brownlow counts, and it's good to see it's finally all come together for him this season, and hopefully next season he can put together a full 22 game campaign. We need the best from him, and it seems like he's always battered and bruised. He's always battered and bruised at times in the season, and you have to rest him for a week, or the bye couldn't come soon enough. But we just need a full damn 22 game season from my guy. But no, that's good vibes. For God's sake, mate, I feel like we've known the outcome for like 25 minutes. They shouldn't be doing the announcement for 25 minutes, mate. It's a prestigious award, but mate, it's not about you, Hamish. It's not about you asking the questions. Save it for later. But we're all done here. That's a good win by Cripper. I would be a bit salty if I was Lockie Neal. Oh, for God's sake, Hamish is back. Piss off. I feel like Cripper's been on the beers a little bit, or had a bit too much wine, and he's just trying to get to the end of this conference. I guess you could call it conference. This little interview. He's been pretty jokes with this interview though. So only Greg Williams and Chris Judd have claimed the honour for Carlton, and Patrick Cripps has made it number 3, and that will end it. The ceremony, the proceedings. Harry Mackay put the finger up in celebration. Cripper with a nice beaming smile on his face as he brought it home with the final call of Gillon McLachlan's tenure as AFL CEO, and embraced the lads, embraced Doc, embraced Walshy, embraced Harry, all the lads. Matty Kennedy, just there for good vibes. I don't even know why he was there. Polled a solid 2 votes. Kirsten said, "Let's go Cripper," and you couldn't say it really any better. If you're a Carlton supporter, other fans will be saying it's rigged, and it's bullshit, and he shouldn't have been playing the games, nor should he have been eligible. But that's going to be it. The proceedings are now over, and what a night it has been. To all those who have tuned in for basically the entire stream, to those who have hung around for the majority, or arrived and haven't left yet, yeah, thank you for tuning in. It's been great vibes. If you did enjoy, like the stream and subscribe to the show. We are going to be doing film study this week in the lead up to the grand final and doing my predictions. And then beyond that, off-season stuff will be on the way. So if you want to stay tuned, subscribe, notifications, you know the deal. I don't want to be generic as hell, but what account went down to the absolute wire. I can't recall an occurrence like this with regards to the Brownlow medal that delivered such suspense and ultimately such happiness for a Carlton supporter like me. Very chuffed that Paddy Cripps got up in the end. So good vibes. Gemwell says, "Hate the Hammers, let's go Toffees." I hope we get up should be good vibes. I'm going to be going straight to that and watching it late night for me. But regardless, thank you to everyone who's tuned in, as I've said. And we'll catch you whenever, because the streams are a bit few and far between at the moment. So stay safe, and I'll catch you whenever. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, fellas. Have a good one.